Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Live from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. Just a picture-perfect September night for baseball as the first-place Cardinals come into town for the first of a series against the Reds. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day, I'm George Graham. Well, the lead story tonight, yes, is the Cardinals are coming to town. But around the batting cage and around town here in Cincinnati, still reverberating was last night's ejection of Joey Votto, his third ejection of the year. Boy, it was incendiary.
Well, when he gets mad, he gets really, really mad. And he was angry last night at Milwaukee, the home plate umpire. Votto did not like this pitch. That made the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's walking around the batter's box. He's not allowed to leave the box right here by rule. The umpire's trying to keep the game going. Votto finally feels like he needs to get cooled down, and he asks for time. Milwaukee says, I'm not going to give you time. Get in the hit. Votto's going to look into the dugout and say, I'm trying to ask for time, and he won't give it to me. At that point, Milwaukee throws him out, and George, he really went to DEFCON 5 in a hurry.
Brian Price came out to try to rescue him, but with Joey Votto being ejected, Brian Price after the game saying not customary that an umpire does not grant you timeout when you ask for it, and that's a discussion we'll have as the game progresses tonight. But the bottom line, Chris, is Joey ejected in a critical point of the ball game, and this year I guess the Pirates figure that every time they come to town, Joey's going to get ejected. It's happened 3 times
against the Pirates, isn't he? There's no doubt about it. Really, the serious part of this, though, the 2 of these times, you know, he may have. I don't know if he's heard from the league yet. They're probably still reviewing the tapes, talking to all the parties involved. But I mean, when he bumped Chris Conroy earlier in the year, that is a no-no. You can't bump an umpire, and he was suspended for a game. And then the same thing may happen this time. The question is, if you're the Reds, do you really want Joey Votto out there losing his cool to that extent? It's one thing being upset. It's another thing arguing with an umpire and being ejected from a ball game. But I mean, he looked like he was a crazy man there last night. And I think around the league, he's got a very good reputation right now with umpires. You don't want to soil that because umpires have a long, long memory.
Ironically, you and I were there in 2009, Joey's first ejection as a Red. It was Bill Welke who ejected him then. Hey, we got a game to talk about tonight. Hopefully we're going to get a first win for John Lamb against Jaime Garcia. That's coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio.
What a great night down at the ballpark. Lower relative humidities, pleasant temperatures, and the Cardinals are in town. 78 degrees first pitch. Heading for home, we're looking at 72. All right, this one's going out. This one's going out. Enjoy the game, everybody, on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tim, I love you, but I know you're not that quick to get around the bases like that, particularly on a bunt. I'm Jim Day. A lot of people asking, how in the heck can these Cardinals be so good so far this season? Check out our Elk and Elk storylines. It'll show you as John Lamb goes to the hill tonight. It's lefty versus lefty, and he's got a tough task because the Cardinals, as we know, can flat out pitch. This is lowest ERA since 1975, and only the 1981 Astros with a 2.66 team ERA are better than the Cardinals so far this season. 2.81 ERA nowadays with smaller ballparks and bigger players, etc. That is an impressive stat. John Lamb seeking his first major league victory, and he'll have to get past Jaime Garcia, who has been red hot on his own. The Cardinals are 7-0 in his last 7 starts, and you look at his numbers, a 1.76 ERA over that span. So lefty versus lefty. Jaime Garcia, the Reds have seen many times. I'm not sure they've seen him on this type of role, however. Up next, lineups and first pitch. Arch enemies square off. It's Central Division rivalry baseball. George and Chris are next on Fox Sports Ohio.
To play baseball here in the first of a big weekend series. Let's check the starting lineup for Mike Matheny, the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, in his 4th year of managing this St. Louis ball club, and boy, are they a juggernaut right now. Matt Carpenter in the leadoff spot, 260, always impressive, but he leads this team in home runs and RBI. That's in lieu of all the injuries they've had this year. Piscotty will play left. Peralta at short. Hayward is your right fielder. Yadi Molina, who leads offensively and defensively every time he takes the field, is behind the plate. Mark Reynolds will be over at third base. Brandon Moss, who's picked up just before the trading deadline, over at first. Peter Borges, a speedy center fielder, and Garcia bats in the number 9 position. And Chris, could this be the night where John Lamb gets his first major league win?
Well, he certainly has pitched in a couple of ball games well enough to deserve a win, and maybe it will be tonight. It'll be a memorable one if he can beat the Cardinals for his first win. 0-3, earned run average over 6. He's been better than that number, that's for certain. I like his peripheral numbers where he has struck out 33 batters in only 28 innings. So he's got the stuff. It's a matter of consistency for John and not making a bad pitch at a key spot.
He deals to Carpenter, who's in at 260 with 21 homers and 72 knocked in. In tied at third is Todd Frazier, the Reds' third baseman. Carpenter, the trigger to this offense. As a leadoff hitter, he is not your prototypical leadoff hitter in terms of speed, but boy, does he do everything else to perfection. He strings out at bats long. He'll take what's given to him by the defense. And he's got one of the quickest bats in the game. You talk about hand-eye coordination, Chris. He reminds you a lot of Paul Molitor, how quick he gets to the ball.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of movement in the batter's box. That's one way he does remind you of Molitor. The other is that he'll work you and he'll wait for a good pitch to hit. Trying to get his team to see as many pitches as they possibly can. And I think the key to pitching to a guy like Matt Carpenter is don't get too anxious. Don't try to get him out before he's ready to swing the bat. In the meantime, good quality strikes in there, and he's got a good hitter's count now, 3-1.
That's up high, ball 4. Carpenter will take the walk, so the leadoff batter is on here in the first. I'll check your forward defensive alignment for the Reds. Over in left field will be Jason Bourgeois. Billy Hamilton back in the lineup yesterday. He's back in center field today. And Jay Bruce will be your right fielder. Frazier, Suarez, Phillips, Votto across the infield, and Tucker Barnhart will catch John Lamb. That is your forward defensive alignment for Brian Price. There's Stephen Piscotty, who's taken over in left field. The injury story for these Cardinals, it is pretty amazing where they are in their record with 88 wins, but they lost Wainwright with a left Achilles injury early. Matt Adams went out in May, and he just came back this week with a thigh injury. Holiday's still out, and John Jay also on the DL, just got off the DL. So they've lost two brilliant outfielders who provide offensive punch, and Randall Grichuk has also spent time on the DL twice. So Piscotty's gotten his chance, and boy, Chris, he's taken advantage of it.
Piscotty's a guy that really doesn't show a lot of emotion. He's only 24 years old. He's out of Stanford University, and where he finished last year while he was playing baseball and got his degree while the baseball season was going on by taking some correspondence type courses. And it's not in just any ordinary subject. It's in engineering, and from what I understand, it's not an ordinary engineering level like an electrical or a mechanical engineering. It's something like nuclear engineering. But a #1 draft pick by the Cardinals. They feel that he can be a 20 home run hitter down the road, and he came up with a big hit for him yesterday to salvage the homestand.
He thought he might be called up last year. He was not called up at the end of the year, so that allowed him to go back to Stanford and complete his study. So he didn't waste any time, knowing he wouldn't be around in September and October. He went back and put it to good use. Piscotty, 3 balls and 1 strike, so already 2 3-1 counts. And there's a strike. Will go full 3-2.
And the Cardinals, it's not only Matt Carpenter that'll work you, they'll all work you, and they'll make you throw strikes. And it sounds funny, but sometimes it's harder for a pitcher to throw strikes to a hitter who he knows is taking than one who is swinging, because you lose a little bit of your aggressiveness.
That's ripped foul to the right side. The count stays at 3-2. And not ironic that the 2 hitting coaches for this Cardinal team, John Mabry was a guy that would go deep in the count. Mabry's in his 4th year as a hitting instructor here, and Billy Miller, the switch hitting infielder, who likewise would go deep in the count. And there's David Bell left of your screen, Mabry in the center, and John Lackey, the pitcher, on the right. But Mabry at one point was the assistant hitting coach, and Mark McGuire was here. Then he took over. That's inside, ball 4. So back-to-back walks, and that'll send Barnhart out to talk to his young left-hander.
Well, kind of unusual really for John Lamb, because control, at least outside the strike zone, has not been his problem coming into tonight's ball game. In 5 starts, he'd only walked 7, and that's covering 28 innings. But he gets off to a rough start right here, and the Reds have seen this a lot, especially here in the second half, where they get down early in a ball game. So this is where you tell yourself, I'm going to make a pitch, I'm going to have him roll over on it and let my defense help me out.
There's Johnny Peralta, another good power year, 16 homers, 60 knocked in, and a 275. Peralta, since signing that free agent contract 2 years ago, has been solid for the Redbirds, solid at short. Remember, he was a shortstop. They moved him to third, thinking his days at short were over. He has been outstanding in the shortstop spot for the Cardinals the last 2 years. Big swing. Now, one of the benefits of having a big lead this time of the season, Mike Matheny has given a couple of his starters an extra couple of days off. Some of his starters have gone on 8 or 9 days rest. Not that they like it, but they're getting ready for the postseason. And he's been trying to give, with the injuries, give some of his regulars days off. Peralta's the one guy who just is in there every day. And he looks more and more as we head to the middle of September like he could use a couple of days off. But with Holiday out, Jay out, Adams out, Grichuk out, they can't afford to take his bat out of the lineup. 1-2. Carpenter walked on a 3-1 pitch. He's at second. Biscotti walked on a 3-2 pitch. He's down at first. Votto playing behind him. Pulled the string on him way out in front, and there's strikeout number 1, out number 1 here in the first.
Well, in my opinion, that is really the go-to bread and butter pitch for John Lamb. He's got an excellent arm action, and on its little changeup that he comes outside, great location. Against a couple of the teams he has previously pitched against, he slowed his arm action down a little bit, and he's really kind of telegraphed that changeup. That time he made it seem like a fastball. So the better you sell it as a fastball, the more effective that pitch will be as a changeup.
One away, double play can get him out of this inning, and here's Jason Hayward, the right fielder, in at 287, 11 homers, 51 knocked in, breaking ball on the corner for a strike. Says Chad Fairchild, the home plate umpire. Pat Holberg's at first. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, is down at second, and Greg Gibson's your third base umpire for tonight. Middle of the infield with Eugenio Suarez at short. Double play depth, and Suarez is right behind the runner at second, trying to keep Carpenter close. And 2.
That is Lamb's slider. He throws it very hard. It's more like a cut fastball than it is really a slider, but it'll go down and away from Hayward, who's stepping in the bucket slightly. So you don't want to hang it on the inside part of the plate. Stay down and stay away.
Hayward asked for time, and Fairchild grants it.
Now that's where, as a pitcher, when you see the batter's lips move, that's when you start to throw. It may be hard to see because of that protective helmet piece that Hayward has there to protect his jaw.
Got him. Did he hold on? Yes, he did. Gibson saying yes, it was caught by Barnhart, so that's back-to-back strikeouts. Whatever Tucker Barnhart told Lamb, Chris, it's working.
Well, that's a curveball right there, and that's another very good pitch for John Lamb. Buck Tucker is going to go down and block it classic fashion. So now he's got a strikeout on a changeup to Peralta, a curveball to Hayward, and one more man to work through to get out of the inning.
Here's Molina. Yachty, as usual, his offensive game has gotten better and better each year. In at 287, and 4 homers and 59 knocked in. It's not home run power, but it's run producing power. I mean, Carpenter leads the team with 72. Peralta has 60. Right behind him is Molina with 59 runs batted in. Good spot. 0-2. And it's another guy, Chris. You know, you hit the middle of September with the injuries. They've needed his bat in the lineup. You wonder if they might try to give him a game or two here in the last 2 weeks of September to try to keep him fresh for the postseason.
Well, right now he's not very fresh. He's in the middle of a 180 streak over his, I don't know, last 22 at bats.
Hopped up in the infield. Phillips calling, and he'll grab it. Well, back-to-back leadoff walks, but John Lamb gets a talking to from Barnhart, straightens him out. We go to the bottom of the first. To you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. Chevy, check out our award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Hey, feeling good? It's Skyline time. Well, no matter where you go in the Banks area, there's something to do, something to see, and something to enjoy. And that's what downtown Cincinnati has become around Great American Ballpark. In this all-star year, fans continue to celebrate Cincinnati heading into the school year of 2015-16. Let's check the starting lineup for Brian Price, brought to you by Meyer. Billy Hamilton, good to see him back in the leadoff spot, second game back after the shoulder injury. Jason Bourgeois will bat number 2. Joey Votto in at 316, who's been red hot since the All-Star break, hits third. Phillips, Frazier, Bruce, Suarez the shortstop, Barnhart, and then Lamb the pitcher bats in the 9th spot. And here's a guy who's been about as well as he's ever been in his career, Jaime Garcia.
Well, you're talking physically and away from injury, that's for certain, because he has been beset over the years by a lot of injuries. An excellent pitcher when he's healthy, and he's right on the beam right now. 8-4 with a 1.8 earned run average. And Garcia's not the kind of guy that's going to wow you with a fastball that you say, oh, he's unhittable. It's anywhere from 88 to 91. He nibbles on the inner part of the plate. He can make it go either way, once with a slider, the other with a sinker and or changeup.
Hamilton skies it to center. Peter Borges there to haul it in, and there's one away.
If there's one improvement the Reds could make between this year and next year, it would be getting Billy Hamilton to hit the ball simply on the ground, not necessarily base hits all the time. You obviously want base hits, but just have him hit the ball on the ground 50% more, and his year would be so much better. A whole lot less of that.
Not that he doesn't know it, not that he doesn't try to do it, but the mechanism to do that, that's a key that needs to be unlocked to reach his potential.
Well, there's a consideration of Billy, actually giving up hitting left-handed and hitting only right-handed. That will be determined.
Here's Bourgeois in a 236, 2 homers, 11 knocked in. He's tried to make the most of his opportunity here in the late stages of 2015. With the injuries and deals that the Reds have made, he's had a chance to start in center and left on a semi-regular basis. Strike on the outside corner, 1 and 2.
Well, the bad news for the Reds and Garcia, or is Garcia, and the fact that over the last 7 games he has really been on his game. A 5-0 record, a 1.7 earned run average. I mean, those are the kind of numbers you would see out of Johnny Cueto. But the good news is it was the Reds that last beat him. You go back to July the 28th, the last time he lost a ball game. Joey Votto hit a home run in a game in which the Reds won 4-0. That bottom note right there where the Cardinals have won all 7 games of his last 7 starts. Boy, they have needed it too, because they have had the Cubs breathing down their necks.
But all you need to know about Garcia is all 4 of his losses, the Cardinals were shut out. That's how well he's pitched this year. Here's Votto at 316, 27 homers and 70 knocked in. You saw the numbers on Jason against Garcia. Votto has also had some success, 3 for 8 and 2 home runs. But other than that, not many of the Reds have been successful against this lefty. In his career, 27 and 15 at home. He's pitched exceptionally well at home. Even when he struggled, he saved his best baseball for home baseball. That misses, and it's 2-1. The Reds are waiting if and possibly might there be disciplinary action against Joey. There was some, you saw the highlights that we showed you last night again today on his tirade against umpire Bill Welke. The question was, did he ever make contact with him? Welke seemed to say yes, and we don't know about the report that was sent in. Once the report is read, we'll find out if Joey might be subjected to any disciplinary action.
Well, they certainly wouldn't tell him today. I mean, after all, it's his birthday today. Turning 32 years old, that wouldn't be the kind of gift that you expect to find under your birthday cake.
It's a birthday week. Billy Hamilton 25 yesterday. Votto 32 today. Mike Stefanski, the Reds catching coordinator, turned 46 this weekend.
Kind of interesting the way Garcia's going after Votto here. We see more and more pitchers going after Votto with just fastballs, just trying to crowd him inside. And Garcia has thrown nothing but curveballs.
3-2. So the march continues for Joey. He reaches base again, another game in a row, as he marches down to first. And here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Redbirds. Piscotty's in left, Borges in center, Hayward's in right, Reynolds at third, Peralta, Carpenter, and Moss across the infield. Carpenter moving over to play second with Wong nursing an injury. He's not starting tonight. That leaves room for Reynolds to play third, and Brandon Moss over at first with Molina behind the plate. So 29 and counting for Joey. He's down at first, and here comes Brandon Phillips, 293, 11 homers, 55 knocked in for the Reds second baseman. Now, we see him every night, Chris, but if you add up, pick a player in the National League that has had one of the best seasons, has kind of gone unnoticed. It's this guy right here.
You're right.
He's filled the leadoff role when the Reds didn't have a leadoff hitter. He's produced runs, and he continues to play brilliant defense. That's a grounded to short. Phillips is retired. The Reds will strand the runner going to the second. Mark Reynolds will lead it off. Egger from 700 WLW at the Holy Grail. It's your chance to answer Reds trivia, win prizes, be part of Reds Live. The fun gets started tomorrow at 6 at the Holy Grail. Always a great spot. You may even see Jesse Jackson if you stop by there. Mo always has some good questions for you. Here's Mark Reynolds at 235, 12 homers, 44 knocked in, facing John Lamb. And a kind of a silver lining to all these injuries. Reynolds is predominantly a bench player on this ball club, but he's getting prolonged at bats here this last month. So when they do hit the postseason, they'll have a pretty good number of ABs under his belt and be ready to pinch hit. That's a strike. 0-2. The Cardinals will have some major questions to answer, Chris, when they try to cut down to that playoff, that postseason roster. With all the injuries they've had and people getting healthy little by little, they'll have some serious decisions. Hamilton there, and there's one away.
Well, that's the one thing the Reds don't have to worry about,
unfortunately.
And it's a good problem to have, really, is how to cut down to make your championship roster down to 25. And Mike Matheny's the kind of manager who knows full well the advantage of expanded rosters in the month of September. And they really needed it, too. I mean, they looked for a while there that the collar was tightening daily during a 10-game homestand that the Cardinals just came off of. They started that homestand 4.5 games up, and they ended at 4.5 games up. But in the middle, there was a lot of sweating in St. Louis, worried about what's going on with the Cardinals. Will they slip up and give up this lead? 8th inning heroics last night pulled out the game. That was by Stephen Piscotty, pulled out the game for the Cardinals against the Cubs, or the Cubs would have had a sweep, a very rare sweep in St. Louis.
Speaking of heroics, Brandon Moss, after coming over his first game, had a walk-off base hit. Second game had a walk-off home run. He's struggling right now in the midst of an 0 for 15 stretch.
Of course, we saw Moss earlier in the year when the Reds played home-and-home series against the Cleveland Indians.
That's ball 4. Third walk allowed by Lamb here in the first 2 innings. Moss is one of those players that really fits the Cardinal mold too, Chris. He plays the game the right way, does fundamentally things well, both offensively and defensively, and no ego to that number 21 either.
Well, they're lucky that they have Moss is versatile enough who can play the outfield. Tonight he's playing first base, so they move guys around. You know, they've had Reynolds over at first base. He's previously a third baseman full-time with Arizona.
Down to third, but foul. And again, ahead in the count, no balls, 2 strikes to the center fielder, Peter Borges.
They have a number of Cardinals that come into this ball game really in some very cold spots right now. Borges is one of them. Cubs pitching really held them down in that 3-game series.
0 for 9 for Borges so late. That breaking ball is down and in. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Borges 0 for 9. Brandon Moss 0 for 15. Peralta 0 for 11. And Mark Reynolds 0 for 8. Those are the current streaks they have going.
The boy, they pitch, don't they?
That's how they end up getting W's.
Swing and a miss. That's strikeout number 3 for Lamb, and here's Garcia. Now you can look at any way you want. You pitch, you're going to be in it. All the analytics that you can add up, they're important in terms of evaluating the game, but you get the guy out there on the mound that can control the game, and you're going to be in it every night. And the Cardinals, even when they don't hit, are in it every night.
And they're normally very capable when they turn it over to the bullpen, too. Not just the back end of the bullpen. Trevor Rosenthal, their closer, having a great year. But, I mean, the middle relief as well. They have given up, the Cardinal relievers, fewer runs than any other National League bullpen. And that by itself will keep you in the game. Or will keep the deficit manageable so that your team can maybe come back and win.
Mike Matheny, 13-year major league career as a brilliant catcher, 4 times won a Gold Glove. The only managing experience he had was Little League managing before he took this job. The book that he originally compiled a kind of a manuscript, and then he had so many questions about it. Family and friends said, "Why don't you write a book?" And he did. Matheny Manifesto. It came out earlier this year about managing Little League baseball, and it applies to this level too. 4 strikeouts now for John Lamb. Still scoreless going to the bottom of 2. Frazier is on. Boy, was he on with that swing last night. A rocket shot into right center field, his 31st homer of the year. Now 80 runs batted in on the season, and our IGS bringing the energy numbers for tonight. Most home runs by a Reds right-handed hitter since 1990 in a season. Remember that 99 year, Chris? Maybe one of our most enjoyable years together following this Reds club, with Greg Vaughn clubbing 45 of them, Barry Larkin 33, Frazier 31 now, and Phillips and Mitchell each had 30 in individual years. That's a pretty good list to be on.
It sure is, and he's got to be very happy with the fact that he hit one recently, and maybe coming out of some second half doldrums that have been really plaguing Todd Frazier.
And among third basemen, he's on the short list of being a member of the 30 home run club. He had 30 last year, 31 this year. Tony Perez did it twice, 39 and 37 in 2 separate years, and Darren Johnson did it once back in the 60s. Overall 258, 31 homers, 80 knocked in. And you know Frazier's way of operating. He comes to spring training every year, and before he does, he sits down before opening day and will seal up a letter and give it to his brothers to project what he's hoping for on the year. And after 30 homers last year, you had to figure he's going to go up this year, and he won't tell anybody what they are until the season's over. Then they'll open it up. My guess is he was pointing at 40, maybe 280, and 110 knocked in. Swing and a miss. Did you do that before season started, or you just go out and pitch?
I put an envelope together and said, I hope I'm in the big leagues at the end of the year.
At the start and the end. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rocket to center. That's a base hit. 3 good swings the last 2 nights. Number 21's liking that. That's Billy Hatcher down in the first base coach's box for the Reds as usual, and down at third, Jim Riggleman. Here's a look, Chris.
Well, he gets a fastball and he gets it out over the plate. And Garcia thought that he was able to sneak that fastball by him. Frazier was right on it. He probably got it down a little lower than he wanted. I think it was a four-seamer that he wanted to run upstairs, maybe out of the zone, since he was ahead in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So Frazier down at first, and here's Bruce. The average to 234. He hit the 20 home run club this week. Now with 75 runs batted in. This is 1,050th game in right field for the Reds. He owns that record for most numbers of games in right in Reds history. Blocks it. 1 ball and 1 strike. In addition to the 20 home runs this year, Bruce climbing the all-time Reds home run list. Sitting at 202, 1 behind Eric Davis for 8th place on the Reds list. And Ken Griffey Jr. another 7 ahead of that for 7th place. Garcia to the stretch. Some lefties have deceptive moves, others have quick moves. How do you chronicle Garcia's move?
Well, it's an average move, but he'll throw over based on what Yadier Molina tells him to do, and that comes from the bench. So they really control the running game between Molina and the bench and take the thought process away from Garcia.
I'll get the forced play 4-6 at second, so Bruce is on with the 1 away, and here's Eugenio Suarez, the shortstop, stepping in.
Their everyday second baseman is normally Colton Wong. Tonight, their third baseman, Matt Carpenter, moves to second because of Wong's injury. He's got a calf muscle injury. And so they put Reynolds at third to pick up for Carpenter. But that's the advantage of having some guys that can play different positions around the infield. We saw a lot of that with the Chicago Cubs and Joe Madden. He seemingly put different players at different positions just because he felt like it. Yeah, but it worked out.
It's one thing when you got young players who won't say boo, but when you can do it with veteran players, you know they're all on the same page.
You're exactly right. And if you get your veteran players pulling all in the same direction, you have a team that can compete for the championship.
Cardinals are there. The Cubs are getting there. There's Suarez. Good offensive numbers, huh? 286, the 11 homers, and 44 knocked in. Rocket in the left, a base hit. So 2 hard hit balls for base hits in the inning. Runners at first and second with 1 out, and there's Barnhart. Sweet swing, isn't it?
Kick and hit. I'm telling you, you shake hands with Eugenio Suarez, and I mean, he's got crusher type hands, very strong hands and wrists. He doesn't have a lot of body movement, keeps his head nice and still, gets his foot down on time. He does all the things that hitting coaches like to see, but he's got great hand-eye coordination. And I'm not sure what the Reds' plans are as far as where he will play, but based on what he's done at the plate all year this year since taking over for Zach Cozart, he'll be playing somewhere.
Bottom line, in this game, Chris, you hit, they'll find a place for you.
Especially in today's game.
Down and into Barnhart, ball 1. Good to see Zach back at the ballpark in the last month. Rehab's going well. And he was ready to go this spring, and boy, was he off to a great start, and he'll be ready to go next spring too. Good to see him out there doing a little work, huh?
Yeah, he's wearing a brace on his knee that he had his right knee is where he had the ACL injury and then the subsequent surgery. But it's got to feel so good for him to be out there just playing catch. I mean, all summer long, going through rehab, watching as another guy picks up and starts hitting, the way you did. And you got to be wondering. I mean, not that Zach Cozart's a free agent, probably not on the verge of being released or anything, but you're thinking, holy smokes, am I the current Wally Pipp on the Cincinnati Reds right here? The way Suarez has hit the ball all year long, but very well liked, respected on his ball club as Zach Cozart, and a guy can absolutely play some wizard type defense.
3-0 to Barnhart with Lamb on deck. That's a strike. And the other part, as you formulate your 2016 roster, we talked about all the young pitchers that are getting an opportunity to show what they can do. The chemistry of a club is so critical the next year, and Cozart's a positive in that respect. You need him on the field and part of this club. There's the 3-1. And that's a walk. 2 hits and a walk with 1 out. The bases are loaded. Here's the pitcher, John Lamb. And don't forget, the most popular way to follow the action of Reds baseball is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replays, reviews, scores, statcasts, live radio broadcasts, and a whole lot more at the MLB.com at bat app. Now, you got that, Jesse? Not yet, huh? You got everything else. Jesse Jackson, as usual, with us up in the booth. Here's the pitcher, Lamb, looking for his first major league hit. Would be a great time to get it right here with the bases loaded and 1 out. Reynolds 1 step in on the grass at third. First baseman Moss even with the runner at first. Middle of the infield double play depth. There's a bouncer. They'll get 1 at second, on to first. That will be late, and it'll get a run in. Good hustle by Lamb. So Lamb will pick up the run batted in. Bruce scampers home with the run, and the Reds lead it 1-0.
The importance of putting the ball in play and then running it out.
Go 1-0 Cincinnati, and back to the top of the order, Billy Hamilton. Runners at first and third now. Here's Billy, fly ball to center, first time up. You're a pitcher, and I guess you'd probably say the toughest job on the field is learning how to pitch, but I think for an everyday player, the toughest position probably is being a catcher, learning how to run a pitching staff, run a game, control the game defensively, and then contribute offensively. But other than that, maybe the next toughest job to learn how to do is be a leadoff hitter, and that's something that Billy's learning one bite at a time, one little step at a time.
Well, let's go back to catcher first. It might be difficult unless you are a player that has the last name of Molina. You come from a whole family of catchers.
That's right.
But you're right. I mean, the leadoff hitter is a guy with a lot of pressure on him, and yeah, you have to have a certain amount of cool to be a good leadoff hitter at the top of the lineup. I mean, you look at all the really great leadoff hitters throughout the history of baseball, and they were kind of cool. You know what I mean? I mean, it sounds kind of goofy to put it like that, but they were confident in themselves and showed it. The good ones. Ricky Henderson, you know, is probably the best example of all. You want to go back to a former Cardinal. Vince Coleman was that way. I find it interesting the Reds are considering having Hamilton bat only right-handed.
Down to short. They'll get the force at second, but the Reds push one across on the ground out from Lamb. He gets his first run batted in. The Reds lead at 1-0.
Ohio. I'm Jim Day out here on the riverboat deck, and it's our periodic visit tonight with the president and CEO of the Cincinnati Regional Tourism Network. She is the lovely Linda Antis. Linda, it's great to see you as always.
Hey, Jim, what a beautiful night. Isn't this gorgeous?
We're going to thank you for that. Thank you for bringing the weather and cooling it down. I tell you what, it hasn't been the year the Reds have been looking for as far as the wins and losses go. But what an outstanding summer it's been for the city of Cincinnati.
That's right. We just capped off with holiday weekend and Riverfest. But what an all-star summer. And, you know, I want to say a lot of wonderful thank yous because the Castellani family, the management here at the Reds, Fox TV, you, Jim Day, our promotion man, all the people around our city, the city itself, our region, the residents, everybody was so behind an all-star summer. And it made such an impression on the world. We're so proud. We're so happy to do it. And guess what? It continues.
Well, one of the sayings is come for the Reds and stay for the more fun, right? But after the Red season, the fun goes on because the events continue in this terrific city.
Absolutely. Next weekend, for instance, is the second largest Oktoberfest in the world, second only to
Cincinnati.
Oktoberfest, Cincinnati, right downtown in front of on 5th Street and right in front of Fountain Square. Real celebration. About 500,000 of our favorite friends will be there and doing the chicken dance. You need to do that one of these years, by the way.
I don't think that they need big names, big stars for that.
And then the weekend right after that, the 25th through the 27th, you've got Midpoint Music Festival. You have the races at Kentucky Speedway, and then of course all of our wonderful family attractions. So if the family's still going to come and visit for the weekend, you've got the Newport Aquarium with its Shark Bridge. Yep. You have BB Riverboats cruises right here on our beautiful river. You've got Smale Riverfront Park, that gorgeous park right along the river. But great family fun.
Well, that's what I love about the events that we promote. It's all about family fun.
It is. You know, and speaking of family, I have some people I want to say a very special hello to.
Please do.
I want to say hello, and you too, to Earl Stolf, my dad, his brother, my uncle, Ralph Stolf, their lovely significant others, my mom, Dee Dee Stolf, and Barb Mueller. Hello, everybody on the west side, some of the biggest Reds fans on the west side of Cincinnati. Hi, Dad. Hi, Ralph. Hi, Mom. Hi, Barb.
Well, that's awesome. It is all about family. And once again, we thank you for everything you do for this city. And people can go on to CincinnatiUSA.com for all the info, correct?
That's right. And we'll do some traveling around the city and the region with you again next year, I hope.
Really? Can we book that?
Let's do. Thank you so much, Jim. And hey, guys in the booth, thanks for having me on.
That is Linda Antis. She is a jewel, George, as you know. George Grand, Chris Welsh in the booth tonight. And we thank Linda and everyone at the Cincinnati Regional Tourism Network for everything they do for the city of Cincinnati.
You're right, JD, and talking to people from Major League Baseball in the aftermath of the All-Star festivities. Here's Lamb from the stretch after Joaquin Carpenter. That's inside. I mean, they had such high praise, starting with the Castellini family and everything that was done by Bob and Phil and everyone in the Castellini group that helped make the All-Star presence here at the ballpark so spectacular in the downtown area, and they had just rave reviews for Linda. There goes the runner. There's a bouncer back over second. Suarez, quick flip, nice play. Well, either Phillips does it from one side or Suarez does it from another, but that's a dandy double play. 6-3, the runner erased, and there's two away.
Well, we've seen the Reds hit into a couple of these from the offensive side this year, and seemingly very bad luck when it happens. You hit a ball right back through the middle, but there is a covering second baseman or shortstop to pick it up. That time it was the shortstop Suarez.
Wow, look at that. I mean, you talk about the hand-eye coordination and getting out of the way of the runner, and you know Carpenter's coming right in on him too. Outstanding job by Suarez. Jim Leland, after the Reds made the deal for Suarez, made it clear he still scouts and he's still around, and he said, I don't think there's any doubt that within the next year or two he's going to be a starting shortstop and he will be a starting player in Major League Baseball. He has instincts, he has the ability to be an impact player, and there are moments where he clearly shows that, Chris.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's what's so exciting about it. And you know, to be able to get that kind of return in exchange for a pitcher who, Alfredo Simon had a terrific year for the Reds. He's pitched some pretty good games so far this year for the Tigers, but I think the Reds have to be just delighted with what they got in return in that deal.
By the way, Chris, I think we now have a new game plan for JD. Linda had the right idea. Have him do the chicken dance. We got to have. Can you see him in front of the thousands at Oktoberfest?
I think he would be the perfect guy to lead the whole Oktoberfest.
Knucksy was the best at that. But he'll be a close second. That's hit hard into left, a base hit. So Peralta 1 for 2, a base hit into left.
That was one of those deliveries, I think, where John Lamb kind of telegraphed that changeup. I mean, the idea of a changeup is to take something off the pitch. And so oftentimes, young pitchers who are still learning that pitch, they don't come through with their arm speed quite fast enough. And just to a really good hitter, and Peralta is a really good hitter, just the slightest change, it sends the antennas up, and he reads something wrong, makes an adjustment, and pounds a base hit into left field.
Well, he got him swinging and missing the first time, but not the second time. So 2 outs, a runner on, and here's Hayward, who struck out in the first. Add up the year that Hayward has had, Chris, coming over from Atlanta. You know, fans know, of course, the story of Oscar Taveras, who tragically died in a car accident. He was penciled in as the right fielder this year. Hayward filled that void and has had a solid year. And you wonder, will they sign him to a multi-year deal? Will those talks culminate in him remaining a Cardinal? Or with all the outfielders they have, will they go in another direction? 287, 11 homers, 51 knocked in. Nipping at that outside corner, missing 2 and 2. And you can add good defense. Always one of the top 2 or 3 in throwing out base runners from right field. This one looped off the end of the bat in the left. That'll drop for a hit. That's one of your wedges to the 8th green.
He'll take 200 of those because that was a base hit all the way. You take a big swing, look to right, and the ball goes to left. That's exactly the spot he wanted it at, and you don't always get a good result.
Two out, 2 on, and here's Molina, who popped his second first time up. Interesting story in USA Today today. Bob Nightingale talking about the Cardinals and Yadi Molina, talking to Teddy Simmons. Simmons, one of the best catchers, both sides of the game, both offensively and defensively. And Simmons says, you know, Molina may be the best catcher ever. And he said, I don't mean that to in any way demean Johnny Bench, but when you add up what he's done for this ball club and what he's done throughout his career, he is, in my mind, one of the best to ever play behind home plate.
Well, he's certainly the most valuable in our generation of watching baseball, or in his generation anyway. It's always interesting how people debate the MVP award and exactly how you define what the most valuable player really means before you start putting names to it. And if it means value to a winning team, nobody's more valuable than the guy at the plate.
I kind of come from the school of Sparky Anderson's quote when they were comparing other catchers to Johnny Bench, said, and he shook his finger back and forth, said, don't ever compare anybody to Johnny Bench. It's unfair. 2 balls, 1 strike. I think we saw Mike Matheny, Chris. You and I covered him, got to know him well as a player in his 13 years of major league work. And you wondered if he might go into coaching. You never thought he'd go this rapidly into managing. I don't think there's any doubt that Molina will be, and probably will shortly after his career become a manager. He has supreme respect. He knows how to handle people. He understands the game. Watched him with the World Baseball Classic team, and boy, did they just generate enthusiasm around him, and player after player just followed his lead.
Yeah, well, the question, though, is will Yadier Molina have the desire to put the kind of time in it takes to be a manager nowadays? I mean, it's a 24/7 job where, I mean, these guys are getting to the ballpark at noon for a 7 o'clock game. I don't know if a guy who's played as long as a career as Yadier Molina could do that to himself. Who knows? Meanwhile, Jeff Pico comes out to try to settle down his left-hander. John Lamb making it tough on himself. He's walked 5 batters on the night, including a leadoff hitter here. That was erased by a double play, a couple of hits, and now another walk. And now he's got a very dangerous right-handed hitter, Mark Reynolds, at the plate. Reynolds will take a hack. I mean, he will swing from his heels just about every time he cuts that bat loose.
And after the walk before him, we know he'll be looking here. 2 on, 2 out. Reynolds fly to center first time up. This year Reynolds closing in on 350 at bats, and usually par for the course, over 100 strikeouts. He's usually in the vicinity in a full season of about 200 strikeouts a year. That hasn't changed. If he had a full season, he'd be right about 180 or so now. Roughly about 1 out of 3 times to the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
3 times in his career he struck out more than 200 times, and now that he's got a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes, don't expect him to change. He's not the kind of guy that you're going to see all of a sudden choke up 4 inches on the plate or on the bat, get closer to the plate, get down in the crouch, and think about punching at the right field. I mean, he doesn't swing for the fences, he swings for the second deck.
Don't get cheated. Hayward, Molina lead off their bases, and Reynolds will ask for time. From third, Peralta leads. Two and 2 with the bases loaded. Get the worst of that. Two.
Oh.
That was a direct hit right on the top of the ankle.
Yeah, you know, and that's the kind. You know what I really don't understand is that, you know, they have these little devices, these protective shin guards, or the ankle guards. Some go over your foot, some goes over your ankle. I don't know why every hitter doesn't wear one. Maybe a guy whose speed is his game may affect him a little bit, but Reynolds' speed is not part of his game. His game is getting up there and letting it rip and hit the ball as far as he can. Brandon Moss on deck has got his on. So he knows what that pain is like right now. And boy, if you're John Lamb and you really want to be mean, what do? You come right back down and in with the same slider.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Because what Reynolds is telling himself right now, stay back, stay back. Because if you stay back on a ball, you don't hit it off your feet normally.
Tried to get in there, fouled off by Reynolds again. Count stays 2 and 2. Usually you see someone who doesn't normally wear the shin guard put it on after they get hurt. It's like getting an alarm system for your house after you've been
aspirin taped on the inside of it.
Ooh.
Boy, how do you lay off that pitch?
Man.
It's a dandy changeup right there, just off the corner.
Full count, 3-2, bases loaded. Popped up. Is there going to be room? It'll be in the seats. A walk, a double play grounder, 2 singles, and another walk. approaching 70 pitches is John Lamb. This will be the 32nd pitch of the inning. Got him. Nice bounce back by Lamb. Yes, he's walked 5, but he's also struck out 5. Reds still lead 1-0. Season. The Kroger meal deal. Check concession stands throughout the ballpark for the Kroger meal deal, which includes a hot dog, bag of chips, 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Emerald dry roasted almonds. Make sure you get your Kroger meal deal today.
You know, sometimes there are momentum innings where your team scores a couple of runs and you as a pitcher are best served to go out there and shut them down. Sometimes a defensive inning can be a momentum inning. And the way that John Lamb pitched out of that jam last inning, you got to figure here the Reds near the top of the order, Bourgeois batting second, could get a little energy going.
At the very least, string out the inning a ways. Here's Bourgeois, struck out looking first time up. Votto and Phillips due to follow.
I mean, the one thing that you can take to the Cardinals or the Cubs or the Pirates or any of these other teams that the Reds are going to play who are in the playoff hunt is enthusiasm. And, you know, you got a dugout with some young guys in it, and they're somewhat impressionable. They're getting a run through the first, you know, maybe the first time through the major leagues, if not very much like that. And have a little pep in the dugout. Have some fun here the last month of the year. I mean, it doesn't have to be all dull and gray just because you're already eliminated from the race and you're, what, 24 games under 500.
2 balls, 1 strike. Check swing. And, I mean, you look at this month. You got the games against the Cardinals right now. Just played the Pirates for 3. Giants coming up, then Milwaukee, then St. Louis, then the Mets, and the Cubs and the Pirates again. I mean, all teams that are in the thick of the pennant race. So Michael Lorenzen there and the rest of this Reds crew can make their presence known and be felt.
And what they do here in the last month, maybe not DeSclafani, saw Anthony there, Michael Lorenzen, you know, in for a shot for the rotation next year. Certainly, if not the rotation, maybe the bullpen, who knows. But I mean, you play a full season, but you have a chance now to affect the race and who wins the division and who goes to the playoffs. And if you've got nothing else to play for, that is enough pride to ought to get you going. And if all you're going to do is to play them at the same level that the Cardinals play, the Cardinals are going to beat you because this is their game right now. Controlled, not showing a lot of emotion, business-like wins, the approach that they do. You got to go out with a little youthful enthusiasm. and show them that when they come to Cincinnati, they're not going to take games from you.
Here's Votto, walked his first time up on a 3-1 pitch. 29th straight game he's been on base by a hit or a walk. So nobody out. Bourgeois on, Votto at the plate, and Phillips due up next. You know, Chris, over the years, when you and I have been with the Reds and we've gone to St. Louis or the Cardinals have come here, the years where the Reds had the most success is when they pushed the envelope. They ran, they would hit and run, they would run and hit. Make them move out of position, force the game to them. When you sit back, because in most cases they're going to have more talent than you have, and in those cases the team will probably win that has the more talent.
Well, at least they have a habit of winning, and you've got to be able to break that habit with something, and I think that's what you're saying. Joey Votto looking down at Jim Riggleman for a sign, and he's probably getting the same sign he always is, which is get on base. Another off-speed pitch there by Jaime Garcia.
Year-old lefty to the stretch, and they'll toss over to first.
We've collected a pitch-by-pitch collection of, that's a redundancy, but we've collected it all, put it all together, of Joey Votto's first at bat against Jaime Garcia. Because I made a comment that he's throwing a lot of breaking balls up there. We don't normally see that because Votto is normally a very good breaking ball hitter. That's the way Garcia wants to go after him tonight. We'll show you that if we get a chance. Here's what we're talking about. First inning, the at-bat that he had, there's the slider down and away. But then everything from then on is a slow curveball. Just kind of teasing Votto. And you rarely, if ever, see that. Even that's a cutter or a slider right there that Garcia ends up walking Votto on, and Votto gets a 2-out walk.
Another 3-1 count to Joey. That's a rocket into center, a base hit. Bourgeois rounding second. He'll go to third, so it's first and third for the Reds. Joey with the base hit.
Well, that was a fastball. Maybe that gives you some insight as to why Garcia didn't want to throw him a fastball.
And sooner or later he's going to get one. He does here.
That could have been a slider. You know, Garcia's slider, sometimes he kind of cuts the ball sometimes. I think that was a heater.
So good opportunity for the Reds. First and third, nobody out. Here's Brandon, bounced into a fielder's choice in the first. That's a strike. Phillips in his career, a 300 hitter against Garcia. 13 for 43 and 2 home runs. At 74% figure above the average. The average is close to 50%. So you see how impressive he's been in those situations. Missing wide. 1 and 2. Bourgeois walked, went to third on the base hit by Votto, so it's first and third for Cincinnati. Dribble down to short. They'll get the out at second. Too late at first. That'll bring in another run. So the second fielder's choice that produced a run. John Lamb's in the second inning got a run in, and here Phillips in the third makes it 2-0 Cincinnati. So Phillips down at first, and here comes Frazier. Frazier started the rally in the second with a base hit. In the air to right, going back Hayward, looking up at the wall. He'll haul it in. The Reds get a run out of the inning. Frazier missed one by about 10 feet.
Well, he may have hit it on the wrong night. A little bit cooler tonight. The thermal's not working quite as much here for any ball that is hit into the air, especially to that right center field area. Looks like he puts a good part of the bat on it, just gets underneath it just a hair.
He thought he had a 2-run shot here and said it's out number 2 as Hayward hauls it in, and that'll bring up Bruce. Just missed it a little.
It's funny how you know when you look at statistics, you can look at different splits, like for on Jay Bruce, for instance, against lefties and against righties, and then day and night and home and away and all these things. But the one thing that seems consistent about Bruce in his career is the up and down is month by month. I mean, some months he is so hot and on fire that you can't get him out, and there are other months like the month of August where he hit like a pitcher. Having a much better month of September than he was in the month of August, but he's facing one of his all-time nemesis right here in Jaime Garcia. There's the up and down from July. It looked like everybody was all excited in July because Bruce was beginning to get it going, thinking, all right, carry over into August, only to see him plummet down to a 150 batting average.
And you talk about all the video that's available today and the mechanics of hitting. I remember talking to Ted Kluszewski back in Tampa, Florida, who was the Reds hitting coach at the time, and he said, you know what my job is? I'm a cheerleader. He said, because my job is when the guys start to go south, try to get them back going north again. And that's probably more important than anything else you're going to tell them.
Well, you're right.
I
mean, you got to have a feeling that there's somebody in your corner all the time, no matter what, because you pick the paper up and all you see is how bad you are. You look at the scoreboard, you see your batting average plummet from day to day, and all of a sudden you begin to read or believe the clippings that you read, and then your confidence really wanes.
0-2 to Bruce. Yes, missing 1 and 2. It's funny because you always thought of Ted Kluszewski, you know, the big burly arms showing through on the Reds uniform as a big home run hitter. But here's a guy that very rarely struck out. He produced runs like Tony Perez did.
He had more home runs than strikeouts, if I'm not mistaken.
He knew how to hit. He holds on it.
I mean, just think about that for a minute. More home runs than strikeouts? I got to verify that bit. I know Joe Luckup's probably already on it.
Another high fly ball to right. This one will drop in front of the warning track. Hayward will haul it in. The Reds will strand a pair. They've stranded 5. Get a run, lead it 2-0.
Lamb is one of these pitchers. Some guys, when they're pitching, you just leave them alone. You don't even look at them. John Lamb, you can't tell whether he's pitching that day or not. He says he always wants to be the same, even keel, no matter what. And one thing that he does when they throw the ball around the infield, and he does this to keep himself loose. Check it. He gets in the catcher's position. Frazier's throwing him the ball right there. And he says it, one, gets him loose right before he gets ready to pitch. And then it loosens up the infield as well because they get a chuckle out of it. Just one of the quirks of baseball, and he'll do it every half inning.
Leave it to a left-hander.
Those lefties are weird, aren't they? Oh, wait.
Consistently weird.
Well, you got a couple of them sitting up here, Jim Day.
I tell you, JD, first on John, I was fortunate when I went to the University of Southern California. His granddad, there's a pop-up to the left side. Frazier moseying over. He'll haul it in. And there's one away. Brandon Moss retired. And, of course, his granddad, John Ramsey, was the PA announcer at Dodger Stadium. I got to know him there because I was an intern or a gopher for Vin Scully. And at USC, I worked for the campus radio station after my freshman year of football and was always around the press box. And he had a big, burly voice. We called him Big John. And if anybody could light up a room, he could. You'd go around the press box, and most PA announcers very often, we're fortunate here. Joe Zierhusen is always walking around saying hi to everybody. John Browdy, when he did it, did the same thing, but many of them just hide in their little booth. Big John would always come around and loosen everybody up. So he's got some of his mom's genes and some of his granddad's genes. By the way, JD, what do you think about this idea of the chicken dance?
I think it's a terrible idea.
You're built for it. You're made for it.
What are you saying? I'm top heavy?
No, you and Nuxie. Nuxie was the best over the years, I think. Wasn't he something else?
Yeah, but he was a pretty big name. So is Ken Anderson, who's doing it this year. I don't think I qualify.
You do. I tell you, Linda alluded to it. You're part of the the Cincinnati family, and boy, you've done such a tremendous job the last few years with all the promotional announcements that you've done. Is that strikeout number 6 for John as Borges is retired, and here comes Garcia. And I know for you it's been a lot of fun too, because you've gone to places where maybe you didn't think you'd ever go.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and places, some people that I would never get to meet otherwise. That's probably the funnest part of shooting those spots, is meeting the people that I do. And then they're always asking me when I go around town, what are you doing on your next day off? What should I do on my day off? So
what we get asked all the time is, does he eat all that food he goes to? We said guaranteed he does.
Yeah, that's why I'm perfect for the chicken dance.
We'll get you in Oktoberfest. The goal will be to get you doing the chicken dance when the Reds are in the World Series.
Now, if that happens, you can book it. I'll do whatever.
Garcia struck out first time up. Fastball pops out of the glove of Barnhart. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Linda is something, isn't she? Talk about positive energy. She brings that to the ballpark and to every place she goes. Earl and Dee Dee can really be proud of their daughter. Hanging in there's Garcia. Well, he loses him. An 8-pitch at bat, and that's walk number 6 to go along with 6 strikeouts.
Well, John Lamb came into this ball game tonight with 7 walks in his previous 5 games, and he has walked now 6 in a matter of 3 2/3 innings. So he's obviously battling a little something with his delivery, setting him off control wise a little bit. The key, though, is that don't let the walks beat you.
Carpenter, fly ball to left. Bourgeois under it. He's got it. That'll do it. Going to the bottom of 4. Lamb due up third. 2-0 Reds.
And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
You can continue to celebrate our All-Star summer by being part of All-Star T-Shirt Tuesdays presented by Rice Krispies Treats for all Tuesday home games. You can purchase a package for $25, get a Reds ticket and exclusive All-Star themed T-shirt. Purchase your All-Star T-Shirt Tuesday package today by visiting Reds.com/Tuesday. Great to have you with us, George Grand, Chris Welsh, Jim Day here at Great American Ballpark, and as usual, Joel Luckup providing statistical analysis for us up here, and Jim Strickler manning the high home camera. Jesse Jackson riding herd on all of us. And of course, down in the truck, Josh Hall, our producer, Brian Hunterman, our director, Matt Sigafus dialing up some highlights, and Lauren White giving us a statistical view of tonight's ball game. And as usual, Brian Giesenslaw and Jeff Pecoro here with our pregame festivities, produced by Kent Weaver and Rufus, Ron Millenor. Reds so far on the smiling side of the scoreboard. 2 runs, 3 hits, 4 left. The Cardinals, no runs, 2 hits, 7 left. Eugenio Suarez singled his first time up to help the Reds' second inning rally that produced their first run. Cardinals in comfortable control here in the National League Central. What looked like a race that was being rejuvenated in the East changed a little bit, Chris, when the Mets came back. Here's a slicing fly ball to center that Borges has for the first out. The Mets will start play tonight with a 7-game lead over Washington, and it looked like they were within an eyelash of it being a 4-game lead, but 2 rallies by the Mets back-to-back against the Washington Nationals, and you wonder if that might have closed the curtain on their run in the National League East. Mets in Atlanta haven't gotten underway today. That rain that's hit the East Coast has delayed that game in Atlanta. Here's Barnhart, walked first time up. You know, we talk here, of course, Brian Price has made it clear that the Reds will back off on some of the young pitchers. Iglesias, Lorenzen in the closing weeks to keep them at an innings count that they projected when the season started. And in New York, I mean, here it's a story. In New York, it's back page, front page news with the Harvey situation.
Well, the Harvey situation is all about protecting his arm after Tommy John surgery. And of course, it makes front page news there because his agent, Scott Boras, came out really out of nowhere and essentially said, my client's going to not pitch after he gets to, you know, this innings point, this 180 innings. And I think they've got the whole problem resolved. The problem, you know, it became ugly because it became public. Yep. Something that really had to be discussed, and I don't know why everybody kind of shaded away from it all summer long, because you knew eventually Matt Harvey was going to get to that point. And why didn't they have a plan ahead of time that they could both agree on? Everybody would stay out of controversy and not be a distraction. But it has not been all that much of a distraction for the Mets. I mean, after all, they've won 3 in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They have a 7-game lead over the Nationals. So the Mets are rolling right along. I mean, the additions that they made at the trading deadline and what those additions have done, especially Cespedes,
wow,
has just ignited that team. And they've gone from being one of the worst offenses in the league to be one of the most feared offenses in the league right now. Of course, they've got tremendous pitching. David Wright, who many thought would not come back very healthy, has come back healthy and hit his stride. Some guys coming back off the disabled list are now contributing. It's like getting a player in a trade when you get some of that back. So it's been a really interesting team to watch, and they are the talk of the town.
2 balls, no strikes to the pitcher, John Lamb, who's fielder's choice produced the Reds' first run. And what Cespedes has done, similar to what Greg Vaughn did for the Reds when we were talking about that '99 year, he added swagger to that clubhouse and swagger to the lineup, and he's backed it up with home runs and key hits. And he was the perfect antidote for an offense that was struggling in July that came on fire in the month of August and into September. That's in there. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And, you know, I mean, back to the innings pitched. Chris, what's more important, innings pitch or pitch count? I mean, if you have a 9-inning game and you throw 60 pitches, or you have a 9-inning game and you throw 100 pitches, that's a whole different story.
Well, I think the other part of it is how many of those pitches are pitches under stress, where you have runners on base and you're trying to keep that runner from third from scoring, and you're reaching out, you're trying to get a little extra snap on that slider. And those are the ones that you don't consider, that don't come out in the normal pitch count numbers.
Bobbled by Peralta, but he still throws out Lamb, and so it's a 1-2-3 for Garcia. His first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Reds still lead it 2-0. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Some entertainment from John Lamb, some entertainment from Matt Sigafus. Ziggy dialing up some highlights for you, and that's the smiling scoreboard that has the Reds leading it 2-0 as we head to the 5th inning. Top of the 5th, Piscotty, Peralta, and Hayward due up. He's allowed only 2 hits. He's walked 6 but struck out 6. And the end result of all those numbers is that he's now at 86 pitches here in inning number 5. Down to third, but foul him.
I'll tell you one thing I like about John Lamb, George, is I'm watching him take the signs from Tucker Barnhart. And I see him shaking Barnhart off. Now, I don't like to see he's taking a catcher off, but it shows me that he's calling his own game, the way he feels hitters are reacting to his pitches. I had a discussion with him about that a week or so ago, and he thought, you know, these guys over here don't know me all that well.
Exactly.
I just got traded over from Kansas City. I know myself a little bit better. And, you know, I hear the scouting report, and I want to take a suggestion from a catcher. But if it's certainly against something that I feel like is the right pitch, I'm not going to believe in it. And That's really where the key is. And I think the key for any young pitcher out there who's watching is that it's not necessarily who calls the pitch, but before you deliver that pitch, you have to believe 100% that that pitch, no matter who called it, is the pitch in the right spot, and you've got to deliver that as if you believe it 100%. Because if there's a doubt, the hitter's going to find it.
You know, Chris, the other side of this is when you make a trade during the season and you're projecting ahead for next year, you know, Brian Price, Jeff Pico, when it comes to pitchers, or Adam Duvall when it comes to hitters at the other side of it, they haven't seen these players. So what, you know, at this stage of the year, when obviously you're not heading to the postseason, why wait till spring training so you can get your eyes on someone you figure will be part of next year's component to a starting staff? So find out what their makeup is, find out how they react to Major League Baseball. So it's a learning process for the individual athlete and for the coaching staff too.
One of the things John has done is that he's altered his windup just slightly, where he gets his leg up. We talked about it during one of his previous starts, where he kind of gets his right leg up and then he straightens it out. And in order to, when he does that, he kind of buys himself time over the rubber. It's only there for an instant. But a lot of pitchers do that, where they lift their knee up and it's got at a 90-degree angle. At first it's a 90-degree angle and then it goes straight. And when he does that, that keeps him over the rubber. And during one of the recent meetings in Brian Price's office, with all the, you know, he's got the media in there every day, he's got pictures all around the room. And one of those is a picture of Don Gullett in exactly that pose that we just showed you on that still shot of him, straight right leg, way back over the rubber, really kind of getting some power going on your left side. And I took a picture of that because I thought, well, this is terrific because it looks just like John Lamb, and other young pitchers can take a look at that and learn something from a still life. But Lamb had never seen that picture before. It's something that he figured out on his own. His dad was his coach growing up, and he really didn't get too specific with mechanics, his dad didn't, but, you know, emphasized balance, you know, rhythm, staying over the rubber and behind the baseball, and kind of let the athletic talent take over from there.
You had a swinging leg kick as a lefty.
I did, and if I'd known more about mechanics, I would have done something more like this. I would have been able to get my fastball from 83 to 85.
I can still see that motion. Down to third, Frazier. 5, 4, yes sir, 3. Peralta bangs into the twin killing, and there's 2 away.
That time on the turn by Brandon Phillips, he used the base as his protection. You know, there's a number of different ways a second baseman can turn a double play. But if you watch Phillips on this, he receives a throw from the third baseman, and then he backs off towards left field a little bit and say, well, if you're going to get me, you're going to have to slide over the bag in order to try to make me alter the throw. And that's where that second base becomes a kind of a natural barrier to keep the runner from going after you. Never know about those Cardinals, you know.
It's a way to play the game.
Although I think there's a little bit of a luster of the rivalry that the Reds had, you know, years ago. Remember the brawl behind home plate with Johnny Cueto?
There's only been a smattering of boos to Molina the first couple of times he's come to the plate. High fly ball to left. Bourgeois back, edge of the warning track. Boy, he bounced back after the base hit, then a 3-2 count. The double play gets him over the hump, and Lamb has a 1-2-3 fifth, still leading 2-0. Day of college football across the Fox networks. It all starts with K-State battling Texas San Antonio on FS1, followed by Stephen F. Austin take on Trayvon Boykin and TCU. Then Iowa and Iowa State battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy on Fox, followed by Stanford opening their home schedule against Central Florida on FS1. What a Saturday of football, all Saturday across all the Fox channels. It's all John Lamb tonight. He leads 2-0 for Lamb in his 5 innings of work. He has struck out 6 and he's walked 6. Hoping that today is the day for win number 1 for the young lefty. Top of the order for the Reds. Here's Billy Hamilton. Fly to center, bounced to short, 0 for 2. Hamilton was doing his rehab at Pensacola and was penciled into the lineup 2 days ago. Didn't make it back in time. He started yesterday, started again today, and it was good to see the game last night, Chris, where he had to make that throw from center field, and it wasn't on the money, but it was strong, and that's what you wanted to see from that injured shoulder.
Well, you're right. He said, I asked him what he did to it. He said, I heard a capsule. He said, I didn't know there were any capsules in my shoulder. But defense has never been the problem at all with Billy Hamilton. In fact, you can make an argument that even as lowly as he is hitting this year, right now at 223, you can still stick him out there every day just based on the Gold Glove caliber defense that he gives your team. I mean, he runs stuff down that other center fielders just simply don't get to.
1 ball, 1 strike. They got to hustle to get him, and they won't. That's why you keep the ball on the ground, even what is a normal ground ball to short. With Billy running, it's a base hit.
Yeah, I don't think there's another guy in this ballpark that's a base hit from the right side of the batter's box except for Billy Hamilton. And that's a nice play that Peralta makes on it. He couldn't be more efficient if he tried. Even the little cheat move at first base by Brandon Moss is not enough to convince them that he's out. Got that down. It looked like Keith Hernandez on that.
His buddy Sean Casey showed him some of the finer points. Billy, even though his ground ball to fly ball ratio is nowhere near the others on the top of that list, he still has a load of infield hits. And of course, he's sitting down at first with 54 stolen bases. He's been caught only 7 times. Boy, he's turned around those numbers, hasn't he, in terms of clutch stealing? Much more proficient base stealer this year.
Oh, if you remember, his first ever major league stolen base came against the Cardinals and Yadier Molina.
Yadi's never thrown him out.
Billy's probably looking for the stop sign, not the green light.
He's got a green light all day long, all week long, all year long.
Especially when you have a 2-run lead. Now's the time to put the hammer down a little bit.
One ball, 1 strike. Bourgeois struck out first time up, walked in the 3rd. And eventually went to 3rd on a base hit by Votto and scored on a fielder's choice from Phillips to make it 2-0 Reds. Low 2-1. Overall, Billy's 8 for 8 against Yadier Molina in the last 3 years, including the one you mentioned, which was 3 years ago, and 6 for 6 the last 2 years. Showing bunt, that's up high. 3-1.
He is not getting an especially big lead out there at first base, which indicates maybe he's not interested in stealing. Doubtful he's going to go on a 3-1 pitch. Molina looks in for the defensive shine.
That's ball 4. Now with a left-hander on the mound and Hamilton down at second, third becomes a much easier base to steal. And don't forget, if a Reds home run hits a Toyota sign during tonight's game, Manfred Lobb from Cincinnati will win this beautiful new Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. There's Joey, walked and singled, 1 for 1. Peralta right behind Hamilton at second. That's a strike. The base hit by Joey notched his average up another point to 317. And since the All-Star break, now over 390 at 391. His on-base percentage, 570. Amazing. 0-2. Always interesting to watch numbers, and since the All-Star break, here's Joey's numbers with on-base percentage. That's 568 coming into today, and that's over 570 now after his 2 plate appearances. Whoa.
Haven't seen that all year long with Votto.
Man.
I mean, that was one right upstairs, right at the old noggin.
I don't know how he got out of the way of that one.
It'll be interesting to see how he reacts right here. Because there are some hitters that we can name a few, George, that come right back and hang in there. Now he really becomes a tough out. Votto has such great focus and concentration and intensity. Our Phantom Cam gets that. Makes it look easy to get out of the way when it's coming in that slow.
Man, that's scary. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I mean, if he can ratchet up that concentration one more, that pitch up around his chin will do that.
There are very few athletes that I've observed in my career that are at the level that Joey is at in terms of when he has it dialed in, the riveting concentration and dedication to a task, whether it be offensively or defensively, that he brings to the table. And he's in another zone. That's nubbed down the left field line into the seats and out of play.
And that's a little bit of an insight right there. Those last 2 pitches in on the hands, and he's fouling them off to the left side. Most left-handed hitters are pulling those pitches foul. And that's why Votto's become such a good out, because he's not trying to pull that inside pitch. He's just trying to fight that pitch off in order to get a pitch out over the plate, which is easier to get the sweet part of his bat on.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on for the Reds. And we'll go full 3-2. And you see Joey does now on a regular basis choke up when he gets to 2 strikes or choke up when he is against a particularly difficult pitcher. But I mean, his mentor via what he's written and the way he played the game was, of course, Ted Williams. And Ted Williams always talked about choking up from the neck up, the mental job of choking up. In other words, shorten your swing, be tighter, be quicker to the ball. High fly ball to left, going into the corner is Piscotty at the wall. It is off the wall. It's a fair ball. 1 run scores. The runner will hold at third, and Votto will end up with a double off the wall down the left field line. Bourgeois came rolling around the bag, slid past it, and just did get back. 3-0 Reds after the 2-bagger from Votto.
Well, he hangs right in there, works to count 3-2, gets a ball that on the outer part of the plate, and then goes the other way with it. Piscotty is a converted third baseman. And that ball slicing away from him is going to hit against the wall right at the foul mark. And the Reds push one across, second and third, nobody out.
31 doubles for Votto now. His 7th year with 30 or more doubles, and when you add it up, he's the third player in Reds history to produce at least 30 doubles in 7 years. Pete Rose and Vada Pinson were the other two. Well, after being on the low bridge, that's the way he answered. Pete Rose should be a Hall of Famer. Frank Robinson always said if he had a vote, Vada Pinson would be in the Hall of Fame. And if this guy continues his career the way it's rolling now, he's heading to Cooperstown too. So second and third, still no one out, and the infield coming in for the Cardinals. Here's Phillips. Bounced into a fielder's choice and plated a run back in the third. This will get a run in. Fly ball to center. Back is Borges. Tagging at third and scoring, and Votto tagging at second and moving to third. So Phillips delivers his 57th run batted in of the season, and the Reds now lead it 4-0. Good job, good at bat by Brandon. Get him on, get him over, get him in, and the Reds are doing that on this night. Something they've had trouble doing most nights. But here it's been walks, ground ball, outs that have produced 2 runs, and a sacrifice fly that produces another.
How about that stat on Jaime Garcia? Has he been good or what? 16 games he has started this year, and 4 runs is the max.
Frazier looking to max out this inning for the Reds with a bolt here. He singled his first time up, flied to right his second time up. Missed that 2-1. Down to third, but foul as the Cardinals with 1 out still keep the infield in, edge of the grass. Garcia trying to get him to hit a ground ball, keep it in the infield. Frazier trying to elevate to pick up his 81st run batted in. That'll do it. Line drive into the alley, rolling all the way to the wall. Frazier round second. And will hold there as the throw comes in, and Votto crosses the plate with the Reds' 5th run, a 3-run 5th. The Reds lead at 5-0, and Frazier picks up his 81st run batted into the season.
Todd has 2 hits tonight off of Jaime Garcia. Garcia tried to sneak a fastball by him on a 1-2 count his first time up. That was laced up the middle. This breaking ball negotiated perfectly by Frazier, hits the gap, goes all the way to the wall, and that will be all for Jaime Garcia as Mike Matheny makes his way to the mound.
Matheny out, Garcia out. Frazier delivers. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Photo, use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. We can tweet a picture of JD doing the chicken dance. Be great. Career high number for Frazier. Todd Frazier's 81st run batted in. Here's Bruce. Bounce into a fielder's choice and fly it out 0 for 2, facing the veteran lefty, just turned 40 this week.
Yeah, just 5 days ago, birthday boy. Former 5th round draft pick by the New York Yankees in 1997 out of Florida State. I think the older he gets, the lower that arm beginning to go. I mean, he'd never be able to throw batting practice with an L screen in front of him, would he?
There's hope for you. There's hope for you.
I mean, the typical one guy only lefty, where he comes in and he pitches in more games in which he would log innings. And today's that's a wild one. I mean, this year is a perfect example for Choate. This is his 66th game of the year, and he has yet to pitch 26 innings. So this will likely be a one-batter appearance for the Cardinal left-hander. One thing about Mike Matheny is he's got a bullpen full of pitchers. He's likely to use them.
A 10-pitcher bullpen for Matheny as they come to Cincinnati here in the month of September after the roster call-ups. But only 2 lefties, Choate and Sechrist. See Matheny in the center of your screen, and there's great Reds history and tradition. David Bell from the Bell family right next to him, the bench coach. David's on the fast track. He, of course, managed in the Reds minor league season for 4 years. Managed in winter ball. Been a third base coach and a bench coach here in St. Louis. He and Matheny work like hand and glove, and he's next on the list, Chris. Center field. It'll stay in the park. Gloved by the center fielder Borges, but that'll get a run in. So 2 sacrifice flies and 2 ground outs. Get him on, get him over, get him in. The Reds do exactly that. Bruce picks up run batted in number 76 on the season, and Cincinnati leads it 6-0.
The wild pitch important in that run.
So 76 on the season for Jay. And that's a bouncer through the right side, and Suarez will pick up his 2nd hit of the inning. 2nd hit of the night. That's the 4th hit of the inning for the Reds. And that'll bring up Barnhart. A walk and a strikeout. Still waiting on a rain delay in Atlanta. The Mets and the Braves unable to get going. Brewers lead the Pirates 3-1. They're in the 7th. Cubs and the Phillies postponed with heavy rain there today. And in case you missed the news earlier today, Ruben Amaro out as the general manager in Philadelphia. Postseason hasn't even started, and already some managerial and front office changes in Major League Baseball. Reds cash it in. They lead 6-0.
John Lamb, he was the starter. He went the first 5 innings for the Reds, and he is looking right now to be the winner in this ball game if the Reds are able to hang on to this lead. And we have been very impressed with Lamb tonight and his 6 strikeouts. And we'll give you a little graphic video pictorial of the 3 different pitches that he used for his advantage tonight. That's a changeup right there. And you see the downward break on that. Next is the curveball, big roundhouse curve, very tight breaking curveball down at the end. Gets a strikeout from Jason Hayward. And the fastball, it was also very good down and in to Mark Reynolds. Gets a swing and a miss on a bases loaded strikeout. And that was a key out in the game. And after 5 innings and over 90 pitches or so, John Lamb will come out. So a nice outing for the Reds' young left-hander. And this might be the night, George.
Kind of reminds you of Steve Trout, doesn't he? Look a little bit like
Oh, God, don't do that to him. I mean, how about maybe Jerry Royce?
Okay.
But Steve Trout. I saw a picture of a baseball card of Steve Trout today.
Yeah.
And John Lamb would want nothing to do with that. They didn't call him Dizzy for nothing.
No, you're right. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, 6 walks, 98 pitches. That's why he's out of the game after 5. And they're managing his innings as we head towards the final week of the season in October, and as they will with Michael Lorenzen sitting next to him. And Sean Marshall, of course, in between. It's good to see Sean back throwing again. Fly ball to right. Bruce camped under it. He's got it. Molina's retired. 0 for 2 and a walk for Molina.
Well, it's also nice to see the pitcher who is in there right now, and Tony Cingrani. He seemed like to be the lost man. When he went down to the minor leagues, he got injured down there, went on the disabled list, and no one really talked about Cingrani. He got healthy recently, and in 9 games at AAA, that earned run average was 1.8. But now, completely in the bullpen. Talked to him today about that. He's not the, he's a guy that still has the desire to be a starter. But, relieving in the big leagues is better than starting in the minor leagues.
You learned that lesson.
Sure. So, you do where you can do the best for yourself and for the ball club. And right now, left-handed relievers, that job in the Reds bullpen are wide open. I got to figure that there are 3 vacancies out there. Seeing that Manny Parra not likely to be back. Sean Marshall, free agent. Don't know if the Reds are interested in re-signing him or not, or if he'll ever really be able to regain the form that he once had.
And of course, the Reds in that trade with Kansas City that brought them John Lamb and Cody Reed. Brandon Finnegan came over. They are gearing him to be a starter next year, but since he's been called up, he'll be in the bullpen for the time being. He may get a spot start. Swing and a miss. That's the kind of stuff that really whetted your appetite when Cingrani first came up, Chris.
Well, the thing about Cingrani that is so interesting is that he's a very unusual type left-hander. He's almost like the former Met Sid Fernandez. And that fastball at 93 is our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. But he pitches better when he's up in the zone rather than when he's down in the zone, which creates a little bit of a conundrum for you, because you want him to throw a breaking ball, but you're not sure how he's going to throw a breaking ball effectively if his best stuff is up in the zone, because that's normally not where good breaking balls live. So he's got to figure out what he should do as a secondary pitch. Change up, maybe big looping curve ball. They've tried him with a slider, but sliders, of course, are best down in the zone around the knees. And it seems like every time Tony gets his fastball down around the knees, that's when it gets hit, which is opposite of what you teach most pitchers.
There's something about his energy, there's something about his drive and determination that when he's got it going, he provides energy to the ball game when he comes in. There's Brandon Moss, walked and flied out. Votto, that's a fair ball, will tap the bag. Good inning for Tony Cingrani. The zinger has a 1-2-3-6. Reds still lead 6-0.
Day. Take advantage of exclusive ticket offers and enjoy face painting, live mascot races, games, and more. Plus, kids 14 and younger will receive a Homer Bailey poster thanks to PNC Bank. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/fan. I'm Jim Day, and I think Chris West will join me in this and paying homage and maybe a moment of silence for George Grand's flip phone, which he was holding on to for dear life, and they forced him
You're weak.
into modern technology. He had to get a smartphone. Now, George, I thought that this was the last flip phone in the country until I remembered the story I did on Bronson Arroyo.
That's it.
That he still had a flip phone. So I text Bronson today and I said, George Grand finally got rid of his flip phone. Please tell me you still don't have one. He said, oh yeah, I still have it. He and Andrew Luck, he says, are the only two left standing. So
I tried to call Bronson to see where he got it from. They couldn't get us one. Joanne and I both lost our phones. They broke.
What do you want to do? Buy another one for parts?
Yeah, I'll fix it myself. Not that I give up things tough, huh? I'm still driving a 1986 Toyota Land Cruiser.
You and Captain Kirk.
JD, you're the worst. Here's Mitch Harris will take over as we go to the 6th, and Brennan Bosch will pinch hit for the Reds. 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Reds. 5 left. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Redbirds, and 7 left. While I've had one phone, how many phones have you had over the last 24 years?
My gosh.
And computers. I can't keep up with you, man.
They become paperweights after a while.
Popped up in the infield. We'll take charge. Reynolds calling, and Peralta will call him off, 1 away. The good news is the old phones you can give to the kids and the grandkids to play with. They still have fun with it. Still learning, huh?
Yep. One digit at a time.
Yeah, the best part of this now too, I mean, when you do your messages, you can just do a voice message instead of having to type stuff out. That's great.
Welcome to Siri.
How about that, huh? I have enough trouble typing. Don't take the world serious. Here's Billy, single to start the Reds rally in the 5th. Reds sent 8 to the plate in the 5th. 4 hits, a walk, a couple of sacrifice flies, and a run-scoring double from Votto, and a run-scoring double from Frazier. And the Reds put 4 on the board to lead at 6-0. This game 1 of the series tomorrow. Michael Lorenzen will go for the Reds after his 5th win. He's 4-8 against John Lackey, the veteran, 11-9. We'll be on the air with Reds Live at 6:30. Saturday, game will be on Fox. Anthony DeSclafani against Lance Lynn. And on Sunday, WLW Radio will have the game. Marcel Iglesias against Michael Wacha. And it's on to San Francisco, Chris. I know you're looking forward to your hot spots of the Bay Area.
Always fun to be out there, and it always reminded me that last time I think the Reds went through San Francisco, they swept the Giants 4 straight.
Yep. Man, I remember it as if it was yesterday. You and I went in to say goodbye to Bruce Bochy when the series was over, and Bochy said these are the 4 best games back to back to back to back that we've had pitched against any team I've had in years. The Reds had 3 brilliant games and 1 good game. The Reds at that point were right before the All-Star game. They were within a game of first place, and he said, well, you guys are probably heading to the postseason. I don't know where we're going. Well, what happened? They made the postseason and they won the World Series.
You never know.
Don't forget, following each and every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, make sure you stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. For a complete recap and interviews from the locker room, you'll hear from Brian Price before anyone else.
Well, the pitcher in the game for the Cardinals right now, Mitch Harris, really interesting story. 29 years old, born in Florida, raised in North Carolina, went to the United States Naval Academy, and was never drafted, really never scouted out in high school. He only weighed 175 pounds. And when he came out of the Naval Academy, of course, you need to go serve because that's the reason you went in.
Bourgeois on base for the third time, 2 walks and a base hit, and he struck out his other time up.
Served in the Navy for 4 years and 8 months. Was in the Persian Gulf. He had a mission to Russia, and then he was selected by the Atlanta Braves in the 24th round of 2007 and drafted by the Cardinals in the 13th round of 2008. In his first professional season, though, after his 5 years in the service ended, was just a couple of years ago.
Big fly ball to center, warning track, wall against the wall. Borges will haul it in. Votto bidding for his 3rd hit of the day. Instead, snuffed out for the last out of the 6th. Joey, 2 doubles and a walk. Reds lead at 6-0. Local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on United States News and World Report's best children's hospital. Great to have you with us at Great American Ballpark. A beautiful September night, and so far the scoreboard smiling on the Reds as well. 6 runs, 8 hits for Cincinnati. No runs, only 3 hits for the Redbirds, as the 3rd Reds pitcher, John Lamb, started, went 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Tony Cingrani pitched a clean inning with a strikeout. And here's Manny Parra. Great to see him back, Chris.
It is. He's had a couple of different trips to the disabled list. In fact, I think 3 on the year. Once with the neck, once with an elbow, once with a shoulder. But Manny is healthy now.
Here's Peter Borges, the center fielder. Struck out twice. Bouncer down to 3rd, but foul. Past Jose Aquindo. Cheo Aquindo down in the 3rd base coach's box. Chris Maloney down in the 1st base box. Number 11, remember they called him the secret weapon. Another guy who, you talk about Molina. Aquindo twice was the manager of the WBC team from Puerto Rico the first 2 years. And in fact, when Tony La Russa stepped down, I think most people thought that Aquindo would get the first shot to manage the Cardinals. But as it was, Mike Matheny got the call, and Matheny's done a tremendous job. That guy's been sitting down at third for 16 years as the third base coach in St. Louis.
That's a lot of dodging of line drives down there.
3 strikeouts on the night for Borges. 0 for 3.
Well, it's been an all left-handed kind of night for the Reds, which is so unusual. I mean, the Reds have just had, over the last few years, the biggest difficulty in trying to find left-handers that can pitch at the major league level. So for tonight, we've had Lamb for 5 shutout innings, Tony Cingrani for 1, Parra. Of course, the one left-hander I'm not referring to would be Roland Chapman at the very end. He's learned how to pitch up here.
Guarantee. Here's Tony Cruz, backup catcher, pinch hitting in the pitcher spot. Now you talk about Akindo, Chris. We often talk now about, you know, the art of stealing signs. You and I have talked about it over the years. That, you know, there was a time when almost everybody on the bench was looking to find a way to steal signs or find out how people were tipping pitches. I remember when Joe Torre was managing the Cardinals, and he thought that a couple of teams in the division were trying to steal signs. He sent Akindo down to the other end of the dugout, and Akindo gave all the signs, and Torre would stand by his normal spot, flash signs that meant nothing, and at the other end of the dugout there was Akindo flashing the signs. So even when he was a player, he was managing.
Well, don't they do that in the NFL? Have 2 or 3, or even on the college sidelines, have 2 or 3 players or coaches all flashing different signs, so to make it difficult to figure out who's actually giving the real signs,
who deflates the balls and who doesn't.
Yeah.
By the way, Patriots leading the Steelers 7-0 in the first NFL game. Bengals, of course, open up against Oakland. What do you think for the Bengals this year?
I think the Bengals are loaded this year. I'm expecting a huge year out of the Bengals. I'm excited.
Just got to stay healthy. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I mean, who would have thunk it? I remember his first year, and we were welcoming him to Cincinnati 13 years ago, and more importantly than the playoff appearances for 4 years, he's raised over $9 million for the community and Marvin's foundation. That counts. Special guy. Good coach. Fouled off by Cruz. Kind of like the old days of John Vukovic or Bill Plummer. When you're the backup catcher to Johnny Bench or the backup catcher to Yadi Molina, you don't catch often unless he's hurt, right?
Yeah, they're lucky if they even know your name.
Yeah. You surprised that Demaro was relieved of his duties today as the GM of the Phillies?
Well, frankly, no. This seems to be the year where more executives, upper level executives and general managers and so on, are either on the move or being let go than field managers.
The most interesting part of that scenario is, I think, if Ruben had stayed, and he respected very much the job that Pete Buchanan has done since taking over as interim manager when Ryan Sandberg left. I think he had a real good chance to stay on. Now you don't know. It's a whole new ballgame. Ed Wade taking over with Pat Gillick leaving. Well, it's going to probably be a whole new regime. There's a guy, we believed it for a long time, Chris, that Pete Buchanan's a major league manager.
I think there were a lot of people around Cincinnati that felt the same way, and that little bit of time that he was at the helm here. He's been twice, now 3 times, right? An interim manager, once in Cincinnati, once in Pittsburgh, and now McCann is interim manager there in Philadelphia. He's got them going. I mean, from everybody who has been to a Phillies game, I'm talking about the scouts that we see on a regular basis. They tell me the Phillies are playing with a level of enthusiasm not seen there in quite a while.
In fact, the Actually did have a card made up saying interim manager.
Pass it out the winter meetings.
Yeah. He and his wife Nancy had fun with that. Here's Carpenter, 2 walks and a fly ball out. 0 for 1 officially. Parra trying to keep it where it is. John Lamb brilliant tonight, trying to win his first major league game. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs. He did walk 6, but he also struck out 6 and threw 98 pitches. Cingrani an inning, and here's Parra in the 7th. That's a strike. Carpenter from the leadoff spot. The trigger to this offense. And with all the injuries, he's been the solid guy day in and day out. He leads the team with 21 homers and 72 runs knocked in. How often do you see that from your leadoff hitter? This side of Ricky Henderson.
Don't you get the feeling, though, that they had another option for leadoff hitter, that they would drop him down? Maybe he would even be a better number 2 hitter than he would be a leadoff hitter.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, though, right? Down to Phillips. They'll get one at second. On to first. The Reds turn their second twin killing of the night. That erases the base runner. So even with the base hit, it's a 3-batter inning. Reds still lead at 6-0. Cardinals game on Fox, Channel 19, starting at 12:30 p.m. Then at 7 p.m. switch over to FS1 for the Tigers and the Indians. You can watch both games only on Fox and Fox Sports 1 or streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Mike Matheny looking on as his team trails 6-0 as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Pitching changes for the Reds on this night. Starting was John Lamb, Cingrani, then Parra. For the Cardinals, Garcia, Choate, Harris, and here's Greg Garcia, who takes over at shortstop. Harris' second inning of work. He allowed a hit, no runs in the 6th. Here's Brandon. Mounts into a fielder's choice twice, the second time knocking in the second runs for the Reds, and a sacrifice fly knocked in the 4th run for the Reds. This one hit pretty good to right. Looking up, back. It is going to be off the top of the wall. Is it out of here? Was it off the iron? It's off the iron. A homer for Brandon Phillips. 12 homers and a 3-run batted in night. Now 58 runs batted in on the season for Brandon.
Now it looks like Jason Hayward gets back to the spot in time, and it goes in and then out of his glove. He slams his glove down on the ground afterwards in frustration that he didn't end up with that ball. And a solo home run to lead the inning off for Brandon Phillips.
Glanced off his glove, and then at least twice this year, Chris, those iron bars at the end of the walkways to prevent fans from tripping and falling over the stands, not that one but 2 over, have had a hand in home run balls.
Well, you could say Hayward had a hand in that one.
Yeah. Another look. Seven-0 Cincinnati. Here's Frazier. Frazier, 40 doubles and 30 homers. What a productive power year. The 4th Red to do that. Tonight, Phillips and Frazier provided some juice. Phillips, 3 runs batted in. Frazier, a double and a single and a run batted in. Votto, a walk, 2 more hits and a run batted in as well. That's hit hard under the glove of Reynolds into left. Well, Frazier will be on. Those numbers for Frazier, 40 doubles and 30 home runs. The other Reds to do it, pretty good company. Frank Robinson in '62, Dave Parker in '85, and Jay Bruce 2 years ago in 2013. That's an error on the third baseman, so no out runner at third, and here's Bruce. Jay bounced out, flied out, and his sacrifice fly plated the 6th run, and that'll roll to the backstop. A wild pitch, and Frazier goes to second. You know, Chris, we talked about home run power and strikeouts, and you and I were talking about Ted Kluszewski and that great blend of power and a good eye. Another guy in that era. Of course, DiMaggio was always that way. Williams was, and Johnny Mize was that way. Joel Luckup went back and looked at the numbers along with Lauren White to put together some numbers just to show you how impressive Big Clu's numbers were when you added it all up.
So in 11 seasons, he walked 406 times. 11 seasons.
Amazing.
I mean, there are guys here that are walking 200 times a year.
Strikeouts you're talking about. You want to look at.
Well, they're walking 200 times a year, but I mean, yeah, excuse me, 200 strikeouts a year. Yeah, that run there that he had about 3 or 4 years in a row were one of the years in which he was second in the MVP voting to Willie Mays was just astounding when you go back and look at the numbers. You say, well, you know, back in those days, you know, pitchers weren't throwing as hard. You know, you can come up with all the excuses. There weren't bullpenners, there weren't specialists, and so on. But nobody else in baseball was doing the same thing that Ted Kluszewski was back in those days. That was between 1953 and 56, where he averaged 43 home runs and then also averaged 35 strikeouts per year.
Amazing.
And what a guy, too.
Yep.
You know, I went to the Ted Kluszewski baseball school in Bainbridge, Ohio, twice. And Ted would show up once or twice during the week, you know. And he'd take batting practice. And out in right field behind one of those fields, it was a train track. And he always tried to hit the ball into a passing coal car that would go by there. And he had one ball that was where the flaps were coming off it, the stitchers were coming out, and they called it Old Bessie, and he wanted to hit Old Bessie in the woods and never could do that. Those were great years back then, George, when you're playing ball as a 12-year-old.
Amen.
Came back the first year with the Outstanding Pitcher Award. Convinced my dad to send me for 2 weeks the next year. Came back with the Ping Pong Award. And that was the end of that camp.
And we lost him too soon. And when I was doing the games regularly, I would call his wife, Eleanor. I'd call her, just see how she was doing. And she would always be out playing cards with somebody or going here or going there. As big a personality and a man as Clue was, Eleanor, same mode. What a personality. Down to third, but foul off the bat of Suarez. Bruce walks. Eugenio 2 for 3, 2 singles. Don't forget, back on the air tomorrow, Michael Lorenzen will get the start, looking for his 5th win against John Lackey. One and two. Count to the red shortstop with 2 on. Dribble down to short. Get 1 at second, on to first. Won't be in time. First and third with 1 away. And out comes Matheny. So there'll be a pitching change. While the pitching change takes place here at Great American Ballpark, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds lead at 7-0. Game summary. Reds lead at 7-0. Could this be the night where John Lamb wins his first? 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, 6 walks, 98 pitches. He was on his game. had all his pitches working, and the Reds led 2-0. They blew it open in the 5th with 4 runs. Joey Votto delivered a double to make it 3-0, and then Todd Frazier delivered a double of his own, a rocket shot to the left center field alley. That made it 5-0, and Brandon Phillips caps it off in the 7th with a leadoff home run to make it 7-0. So add up the numbers, and for the Reds, they lead it 7-0. Jaime Garcia on the short end of this one, 4 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs. He exited the game after 4 1/3. 7-9-0 for the Reds, 0-4-1 for the Cardinals. Smiling scoreboard for Cincinnati as the double switch. Pete Cosmic comes in to take over at second base. And Sam Tuivailala will take over on the mound for the Redbirds. Garcia gave way to Choate, gave way to Harris, and here's the right-hander on the mound in the 7th for the Cardinals.
Well, he gets it up to the plate in less time than it takes to say his last name. A converted infielder. In fact, interesting that he and Stephen Piscotty on the same minor league team were all, and one other, were all third basemen. Well, they told Piscotty, you're no longer a third baseman, you are going to be an outfielder. And they told Tuivailala that he's going to the mound. In fact, he was in the Appalachian League and got called into the office. And that's when he thought his career, minor league career, was over, because he was not swinging the bat very well at all. And they said, tomorrow when you come, you're throwing a bullpen. You're going to the mound. And he has hit 100 miles an hour, and that's a pretty good-looking breaking ball right there to freeze Tucker Barnhart.
Jim Schumacher will come in the 9th spot to pinch hit. Barnhart strikes out. 3 strikeouts and a walk for Barnhart on the night tonight. What he'll remember more is the night that he caught for John Lamb. And you go back, Chris, in the 1st inning, Lamb walked the first 2. And Barnhart went out, gave him a pep talk, settled him down, and then he struck out the next 2 and got out of the inning. There were 2 key moments for John. The second one came in the 5th. The game was only 2-0 at that time. Piscotty led off with a single. Then it was a 3-0 count to Peralta, but Lamb battled back, got him to 3-2, and Peralta bounced into a 5-4-3 double play, and that snuffed out that rally. Former Cardinal Schumacher, no balls, 2 strikes.
It's always nice to go to St. Louis and see the appreciation the Cardinals fans have for Skip Schumacher. I mean, he doesn't just get an ovation, he gets nearly a standing ovation when he is announced, even wearing a Reds uniform. I'm sure the same thing happened when the Los Angeles Dodgers went through and he was a member of the Dodger team.
And why not? First class guy.
Played a couple of years there as a full-time player, where he had more than 500 plate appearances.
Such a delicate way to put together a clubhouse and put together a ball club, but in that compilation you need leaders and people to play the game the right way, conduct themselves the right way, and Schumacher's that kind of a guy. A shot towards the alley. It's over the head of the center fielder Borges. That'll get Frazier home, rounding third and coming to the plate. The 9th run as Suarez scores, and Schumacher delivers a pinch hit, 2-base hit, and the Reds lead at 9-0.
Well, it's kind of interesting because Peter Borges in center field plays the shallowest center field that I've seen any major leaguer play here at Great American Ballpark since it opened. And he's just continually challenging the Reds hitters to hit the ball over his head. Frazier hit a double in the gap by him earlier. That one goes simply right over his head, and Schumacher burns Borges for a double.
How about those numbers? Relegated to pinch hitting duty much of the year. 18, second most by a Red in a single season since '74. And of course that list of great pinch hitters for the Reds includes Lenny Harris, who's the all-time pinch hit leader in Major League Baseball. He's in scoring position with 2 away. Billy tonight, fly to center, bounced to short, single to start the rally. It was an infield hit in the 5th, and then bounced to first in the 6th. First time Billy has hit from the left side tonight against Garcia and Choate. He hit from the right side. Swing and a miss. That'll do it. But the Reds cash in with Phillips leadoff homer, making it 7-0, and the double making it 9-0. Reds lead it. Tomorrow during Police and Fire Appreciation Night, arrive early for special pregame ceremonies, plus stick around after the game for a postgame fireworks show presented by Coors and Fire and Security. Tickets start as low as $12. Purchase today by calling 513-381-REDS, visiting select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. A lot of birthdays and anniversaries this week, and of course the 11th of September will be the official day that Pete set the all-time hit record, passing Ty Cobb. Although subsequent to that, they wanted to take 2 hits away from Cobb, where they found that he had been incorrectly credited with 2 hits during his career that were credited twice. But we still go by 9/11. A remarkable night here in Cincinnati. And what a roller coaster year for this guy. Sam LeCure, one of the final cuts for the Reds at the end of spring training. And I think, Chris, it was a strange feeling when the team came back to Cincinnati and he wasn't on the opening day roster. A guy who was so much of an important part of the Reds bullpen. He struggled down in Louisville, finally got it together, and boy, has he had it together since he's come back here.
Well, he has, you know, and I think the Reds really lost a lot of fiber in their bullpen when they did not have him at the beginning of the year. And interestingly enough, you know, even as Sam struggled in AAA, and he did not have a good spring, a good year, but the Reds bullpen really struggled in the month of April, and it seemed like it was a revolving door of different pitchers that Brian Price was just trying to figure out who could step up and be the bridge to get to Aroldis Chapman in the 9th inning. But it's good to see Sam back in the big leagues.
Part of our all-time favorite battery.
No doubt.
Sam LeCure and Corky Miller. They look like they were straight out of the 1950s, didn't they? 2 great baseball guys. Corky, of course, outstanding catching instructor as well as catcher, period. Here's Garcia, who came in earlier for Peralta at short. Off the glove, scooped up onto the glove of Suarez. He'll be charged with an error on a ball that it looked like it tipped off the edge of Sam's glove, and then had a little bit of English as it hit in front of the bag and went under the shortstop's glove. Another look. Thirteenth error of the season for Eugenio. No, 1 out, 1 on, and here's John Jay. Another one of those on that list, Chris, of injured Cardinals who is finally back. And as they get people healthy, they've got a lot of major decisions to make when they head to the postseason. Who's on the roster, who isn't, and an overload of outfielders, that's for sure. Jay had a left wrist injury. Matt Holliday, a thigh injury. They hope to get him back. And of course, Matt Adams just activated this past week. And Randall Grichuk has been off and on the disabled list a couple of times this year. No balls, 2 strikes. Hanging in there is Jay.
And each of them have had their own individual problems. You say that John Jay's had a wrist injury. I mean, I would never think I'd look up at the scoreboard and see John Jay hitting .217. This guy's just a much too talented hitter for that. Peter Borges was signed to really take his place. And then after watching Borges for a while, the Cardinals said, well, we'd rather have Jay, and then he had the injury. Grichuk actually played in center field the other night for the Cardinals. But he's got an arm injury and he can't throw the ball. In fact, the Pittsburgh Pirates scored 2 runs on balls that were hit to Grichuk, who had to underhand the ball to a relay man in order to get the relay going for the Cardinals. That is a classic.
That's
calling card for Sam LeCure right there. That little 2-seam front door fastball. Here it comes. You back out of the way. And it comes back and gets a piece of the plate for strike 3.
First strikeout for Sam LeCure. Lamb struck out 6 and walked 6 during his tenure. Cingrani struck out 1, Parra struck out 1, and LeCure 1 here in the 8th. Well, the Reds sitting on 9 for the night. Here's Cosma first at bat. Feet back up from AAA. Solid defender at short. Fly ball. Will Billy get there? Man, what speed. That looked like it was heading for 2-base territory, but Hamilton just outran the baseball. And here's your post pattern touchdown from Billy Hamilton. An error, no harm. Reds still lead at 9-0. On Fox Sports Ohio with all the info you need for that day's game. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Mañana it's John Lackey for the Redbirds. Lackey will go for his 12th win of the season, 11-9 with an ERA of 2.9, and Michael Lorenzen will go for his 5th win. Chris, your report card on Michelson's coming back up.
Well, he's thrown the ball extremely well. Did some good work down in AAA with Ted Power and the bats, and came back with a lot more confidence, it seems like. And John Lackey is the other pitcher in this Cardinal rotation that's thrown the ball extremely well lately. Overall, he's only 2 games over 500, but a very impressive 2.9 earned run average.
Great presence on the mound. John Jay stays in the game. He's in right field. That's off the helmet and foul back. Cody Stanley will take over behind the plate. Stanley, the 3rd catcher for the Redbirds tonight. Valhalla remains on the mound for the Cardinals. Jason struck out, walked, and singled. High fly ball to left. 1 away here in the 8th.
Well, the Reds might be down to only 2 catchers, even though they did bring up a 3rd catcher at the time they could expand the rosters, Ramon Cabrera. But Cabrera is active, but Brian Pena hurt his hamstring last night in pinch hitting duty as he was running the ball out, and I'm not so sure when he'll be able to come back. He was telling me today it's very sore. Didn't even bring his gear down onto the playing field today.
There's Joey. Walked his first time up. That marked the 29th straight game he was on by a hit or a walk. Then he singled to center in the 3rd to prolong a rally, doubled in a run in the 5th, and flied to the wall in center in the 6th. No balls, 2 strikes. Tony Cruz moves to 3rd. Phillips due up next. And Ivan De Jesus in the on deck circle. Because you look back on your career, what teammates would you put in the same category as Joey Votto with that intensity, especially offensively when they step into the batter's box?
Oh, the only one I can think of who could come close is Pete Rose.
Yep.
But I mean, he is in a whole different level compared to most every player in baseball right now. Doesn't mean he's going to get hit every time, but I mean, he gets up there and he focuses, never going to give a hit away or an at bat away. I mean, here is a 9-0 ball game, and he's up there grinding in this at bat, 9-0, just like he was in a 1-0 ball game. Which explains a little bit why, when he got so angry at Bill Welke last night, that he went completely off. I mean, that's as mad as you can see as a human being when he was thrown out of the ball game and was surprised by it. What a difference a night makes.
I don't know many hitters. There's a bouncer down the 3rd base line into the corner. De Jesus rounds first, goes to 2nd, so the pinch hitter Ivan De Jesus doubles. That's a 2-out double, and that'll bring up Todd Frazier.
When you put a catcher at 3rd base, you get a catcher at 3rd base. De Jesus hits a ball down the line. He's going to get a benefit of a wave and bye-bye as that baseball will scoot down the left field line.
There's Todd. Frazier singled, flied to right, doubled in a run in the 5th, and then reached on an error in the 7th. fastball at the knees for a strike. Remember, you mentioned Pete, and remember when you sit and talk hitting with him, especially the young hitters that he mentored, and it was always keep the foot on the gas pedal. You know, if you're 1 for 1, you want 2 for 2. If you're 1 for 2, you want 2 for 3. Don't give up at bats. You could be 0 for 4, get a hit, and you're 1 for 5.
Yeah, but there are some guys that are just not wired like that. That just will give up at bats when they feel that their team is up and the game is pretty much predetermined. When you get late in the ball game on a blowout and you go up there and you take a few good hacks. It's not like you're trying to make an out, but you're not grinding it out the same way that Votto does, or the same way that Pete Rose did, or that Tony Gwynn did, in kind of a more comfortable way for Gwynn.
And that's not really about baseball. It's about life and how you fight, whatever it is. Two balls, 2 strikes. De Jesus will go to third on the wild pitch.
That is the 3rd on the night.
Yep. And that's a serious wild pitch.
Well, every one of them have been really wild. I mean, his only chance was get his mask in front of it.
Full count, 3-2. Frazier down the left, going back, looking up, gonna be gone. Todd Frazier, a single, a double, and a homer. His 2nd run batted into the night. Put a cap on that one. 32 home runs on the season for the Reds' 3rd baseman. And it's a double-figure night for the Reds, 11-0.
Well, Todd thought he had another home run back in the 3rd inning when he sent the right fielder all the way to the wall before he was able to pull it in. Nobody pulls this one in.
The Toms River Tomahawk delivers. 11-0 Reds. Not many nights like this one, huh, Chris? They deserve a smile right there.
You better believe it.
That's a sweet sound, huh?
Well, I mean, he hits it. That's a nice grab.
Good catch. Two runs batted in for Frazier, 3 runs batted in for Phillips. And the Reds have put an 11 spot on the board tonight. There's Jay, bounced into a fielder's choice, flied out, sacrifice fly, knocked in a run, and walked in the 7th. Knocked down. The throw to first will be in time, but bobbled. So Bruce will be on.
It's a nice play by Cosmo right there. If he can come up with a little better throw, he'd easily have his man. Brandon Moss can hold on to that ball. He tried to breadbasket that baby, but it dropped out.
Ryan Lamar will come in and pinch run, and that'll be it as a base hit for Bruce. And while the pitching change takes place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Game, tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Good job, Dennis. That's our Kent Merker lookalike picture of the night, Chris. Merk, how you doing?
I just talked to Merk yesterday, as a matter of fact.
How's his golf game?
Oh, it's impeccable, I'm sure.
Here's Miguel Sokolovic will take over with the Reds leading 11-0 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Eugenio Suarez singled, flied out, singled, and bounced out. Now, I know one guy who would be, and probably is Merker's former pitching coach, Leo Mazzoni, who must be irate over all these pitch count and innings count philosophies that so many people are going by today. He was one that believed you threw 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off.
Well, you're right, and it's funny you bring that up because when I had a conversation with Merker, it was specifically about that, to find out what Kent thought about, you know, the pitch counts and all the hoopla that was going on in New York. And he said exactly that. Talk to Leo.
Talk to Leo. Talk to Frazier. Another homer, and the Reds lead at 11-0. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. A beautiful night for baseball and for the homestanding Reds on this night. An 11 spot on the board, 11 runs, 13 hits for the Reds, 1 error and 8 left on base. For the Cardinals, no runs, 4 hits, 1 error, 8 left on. The offensive story has been impressive all night long for the Reds. Joey Votto, 2 hits and a run batted in. Brandon Phillips, a ground out that produced a run, a sacrifice fly that produced a run, a homer that made it 7-0. Todd Frazier, a single, a double, and a homer. His last homer made it 11-0, and he had 3 runs batted in on the night. Jay Bruce, a sacrifice fly. And while all that went on, Brian Lamar takes over in right field. The pitching has held up its end of the bargain. Here's Ryan Matthews. John Lamb started. Cingrani, Parra, LeCure, and Matthews. And Chris John Lamb, the story of this game tonight. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Your report card on.
Well, I mean, you give up no runs, you get an automatic A. Even though he walked 6, he struck out 6. He struggled a little bit with his control, but Lamb is a guy that I think is just simply going to get better and better. The more comfortable he gets, the more he learns his own delivery, kind of learns the league and learns what it's like to pitch up here. I think when you judge Lamb's stuff individually, it's very intriguing because he throws a real slow curveball and a very firm fastball. I think he hit as high as 94 miles an hour or so tonight on his fastball. So it's nice to see that trade with Johnny with the Kansas City Royals for Cueto pay off immediately just with the one guy we've seen so far.
Brandon Finnegan has joined the club, of course, at the major league level. He stretched out as a starter at Louisville. He'll be working mostly out of the bullpen here, and still to come, of course, is Cody Reed. I mean, already impressive young pitchers that have come over. There's Matt Adams in the on-deck circle, just coming off the disabled list, the big early first baseman who's been a thorn in the side of the Reds ever since he made it to the major leagues. Stanley fouls it off on the inner part of the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Finally underway in Atlanta with a lengthy rain delay. Mets and the Braves are scoreless. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh are tied at 3 in the 10th. Cubs and the Phillies postponed in Colorado. Beat San Diego 4-3 earlier today. High hopper to the second baseman De Jesus, 1 away. And here comes Matt Adams. Of all the injuries that we've talked about, the one guy that certainly the Cardinals are so happy to get back on the field after a prolonged period. This is the first time he's been back since May the 27th after he had a right thigh injury. Is this guy who you count on for big home run numbers? He's only got 4 on the year after leaving in May. Now their goal is just get him ready for October. Matthews delivers, foul back.
I got to figure, though, that the Cardinals were probably hoping to get more home run production out of Adams than they even got last year. He had 563 plate appearances last year, had 15 home runs and 68 driven in. And you would think a guy that goes 6'3", 260 would deliver a little bit more in the way of the long ball than what he has been able to do. Well, he batted .288, so he's a big guy that has a pretty good knack for getting base hits.
Reds overshift against him. There's a line shot into the right field corner, going over. Can't cut it off. It'll be a base hit as Adams will hold at first. No chances taken after the lengthy DL stint with the thigh injury.
Kind of went right down there and hooked it down the right field line. Boy, he's a big dude.
Brian Lamar hauls it in, holds him to a single, and they won't take any chances. He'll be substituted by a pinch runner, so Adams gets a pinch hit at bat. They're just happy to get him back in. There's Randall Grichuk. Good speed for Grichuk. Here comes Borges.
Good job, cameraman.
Well, the Cardinals, including the 11 runs the Reds have tonight. It's 5. They've been outscored 38-10 in the last 5 games. They were able to win one of those after winning yesterday to avoid the sweep from the Chicago Cubs. So Mike Matheny's got 2 things working, Chris. Get people healthy. And yeah, you want to win, but with the lead he has, he's got some leeway and some pad time to try to get everybody ready for October.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that he feels that that lead is really comfortable, because the Cardinals did not play very well at all during the recent homestand, and they've kind of turned it down a little bit. They have they're on the beginning of a 10-game road trip, which will take them through Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and then Chicago.
Broken bat to the shortstop Suarez, and Borges is retired for the 4th time tonight. 3 strikeouts and the pop-up.
So if things go upside down for the Cardinals on this trip, it is conceivable that they go back to St. Louis and they don't have a lead at all. So Mike Matheny wants to win each one of these ball games. I mean, you know, he's down 11-0 right now, obviously, but you know, this isn't just trying to get everybody healthy and get your postseason roster going. They don't want to be in that play-in game. They want to be the division champions. And 4.5 can disappear to 3.5 to 2.5, and all of a sudden you start panicking a little bit.
Pop up, that'll do it. Duval will haul it in, and Chris, a night to remember for Todd Frazier, who delivers the big home run. The fireworks deliver a exclamation point to this night, and you ask the question, how big of a victory was this? Unbelievable. Look at these numbers, Chris. Largest margin of victory in a shutout of the Cardinals since June the 4th of 1971, a 12-0 game.
That's amazing. And the Cardinals just suffered a similar shutout at the hands of the Cubs not too long ago. Very much making history there as well. So something going on there in Cardinal land. Reds taking advantage tonight. Congratulations to John Lamb on Major League win #1.
Smiling scoreboard for the Reds and John Lamb. More to talk about. We'll be back after these messages as the Reds have beaten the Redbirds 11-0 in the first of the weekend series.